welcome to Ariel Helwani's MMA Show.
Back in your life on this Monday, August 19th, 2019. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. Hope you're doing well on this Monday afternoon. I am back from Anaheim, California. Whoops. And there goes my Happy Warrior fan, which I will now move right over there. What a weekend it was at the Honda Center in Anaheim, Orange County. Once again, 8th time the UFC goes to Anaheim, and it seems like every time they go there, something wild, something memorable happens. UFC 241, no different. We hyped it up as the best card of the year. I think in particular, the last three fights in totality proved to be everything we hoped and then some. Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa, what a great fight that was. Back and forth they went, two behemoths. That's why I said it was the irresistible force meeting the immovable object. And I saw a lot of you say, isn't it the unstoppable force? You dummies. WrestleMania 3, Gorilla Monsoon. Listen to the quote. The irresistible force meets the immovable object. Hogan, Andre. That's what it was on Saturday. Romero and Costa like throwing sledgehammers at each other. Unbelievable fight. So much athleticism, will, determination, brutality involved. In the end, Costa gets the nod. I thought Romero won initially. That's the result the UFC wanted. I'm not suggesting by any stretch of the imagination that the numbers were kind of toyed around with, but I'm saying that it was a very close fight. It was not a robbery at all. But this is what the division needed. They needed a fresh face. There's a beef there between Costa and Israel Adesanya. Adesanya fighting Robert Whittaker on October 5th. So this sets things up pretty nicely. Then we move along to the co-main. The long-awaited, much-anticipated return of Nathan Diaz shows up to the open workout smoking a joint. Doesn't show up to media day. I mean, just a jolt of superstardom into the sport, back into the sport. We miss this man so much, and he looks like that, and he fights like that. Great performance against Anthony Pettis. Pettis breaks his foot in the first round. We could hardly tell. He might need surgery. Great fight. I thought Diaz won all three rounds. I thought he looked great. Surprised he was a little tired, but he explained afterwards that he actually had to start the first round like it was the third because he's a slow starter sometimes, and he usually, goes 5 rounds these days, so he needed to start off quick. I thought that was a very interesting explanation. And now you set up potentially Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. Holy smokes. He's a gangster, but he's no West Coast gangster. I mean, really, you could put that at the top of a pay-per-view and you could sell that thing sans title. That's one of those few fights right now that can headline a pay-per-view sans title. So Diaz is back. And then, of course, in the main event, Stipe Miocic is able to turn things around in the 4th round. I had him down 3-0. I thought in the first round, things were not looking good for him. DC looked phenomenal, used the wrestling, then started to slowly but surely stray from the game plan. And in the 4th round, 14 body shots from Stipe to the right side of the body ended up being Daniel Cormier's undoing. Now we wonder what is next for him. So happy for Stipe. Today's his 37th birthday. Equally sad for Daniel Cormier, who had been through so much throughout his life, always second place, looked like he was on the cusp of going out on top. A heartbreaking loss. Hard to see him in that state afterwards, but still one of the all-time greats at heavyweight and in the sport, period. A great turn of affairs. And hey, look, now you could do the trilogy. You can maybe do a John Jones-Stipe fight. You can maybe do DC Stipe. Who knows? You could do DC against Stipe 3. You may even make the case that now that DC lost the belt, this is the opening to do DC Jones 3. I don't know. But very memorable stuff and some other great performances from the likes of Sadiq Youssef. Cory Sandhagen with a big win. How about Kama Worthy taking a fight on a week's notice against his friend Devontae Smith? A lot of memorable things happened in Anaheim this weekend. So we will talk about all of that and a whole lot more on today's program. We've got a loaded show for all of you. Let's get to our lineup and get to our first guest of the day because I am excited. It is Monday in Bristol, exotic Bristol. Where else would you rather be? 4:05, we're going to be joined by Borrachinha, Paulo Costa, talk about his big win over Yoel Romero. Ask him if he's going, in fact, to Melbourne in October and see what he thinks about that whole situation. Also see how he's feeling today. 3:50, we're going to talk to Stefan Struve, who is back. He's sort of retired. He took the gloves off, But then he said, you know what? I'm going to stick around. He's fighting December 7th against Ben Rothwell. Remember, Stefan Struve, outside of Daniel Cormier, the only man to beat Stipe Miocic in the UFC. Pretty amazing, like 7 years ago. How about game-bred fighter himself, Jorge Masvidal? Is he fighting Nate Diaz? This man has become a star, a superstar, and that fight would be so huge. You saw the smile on his face. That was like, I was just thinking like, ka-ching, 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 when he was smiling, or cha-ching, cha-ching. Is it ka-ching or cha-ching? You know what I'm talking about, like the money thing. Anyway, the man's very happy. You can tell by his face sitting cage side. Kurt Angle will join us, the Olympic gold medalist from 1996. It's true. It's true. What do you think of Colby Covington using his music? What does he think of Henry Cejudo stealing his gimmick? All that and more from Kurt Angle. Mike Perry will join us, talk about the nose. First interview since last weekend's fight in Uruguay. Talk about the nose, how he's feeling, all that and more. Holly Holm, first interview since her loss to Amanda Nunes. She has now been booked against Raquel Pennington on October 5th. We'll talk to her. What does Francis Ngannou think about what happened Saturday? Is he next for Stipe? The rematch of UFC 220, we'll find out. Eddie Alvarez back. I was thinking of Eddie on Saturday because he's been tied to Nate and Anthony Pettis. What do you think of that fight? I saw him tweeting a little bit about it. He had a big win a couple weeks ago, won championship. We'll talk to him about that. Nick Newell is going to be in studio, making his Bellator debut on Saturday in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And we will be joined by the birthday boy, Stipe Miocic, the new UFC heavyweight champion, in a bit. But first, let's go to one of the big winners on Saturday. We have made a habit out of talking to this man after a big win. He's having a lot of them these days. Now won 7 in a row. There he is, my man, Cory Sandhagen. Cory, how are you?
I'm good, Ariel. How are you, man?
I'm doing really well. Congratulations on the victory. And I understand that you are delaying a trip to Disney just to do our show. True or false?
True.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. I know how much people love Disney. Have you been to Disney before?
I've never been to Disney. I think I went to Disney World when I was a kid, but it was just to get all the autographs. So like now I'm going to check out the rides and stuff.
Okay. So this is like, the people who win the Super Bowl and then they say, I'm going to Disney. Do me a favor though. Friday night, I went there before the show and I went on the Guardians of Galaxy ride, which is essentially the Tower of Terror, I think it used to be called. Do me a favor, do not go on that ride. That is hell.
What?
It is pure hell. It is the worst experience of my life. So do me a favor, don't do it for your own sanity.
Oh, that's the one that my girlfriend's most excited for, man.
Well, listen, everyone else seemed happy. There was like mucus coming out of my nose, my eyes, my mouth. I've never been so scared in my life. There are points where you're not even like you're just levitating. You're not even sitting. I was shaken up for a day.
Whoa.
So do me a favor. If you do it, give me a report afterwards. I thought it was pure hell. Maybe I'm just a wuss. But good luck to you guys if you end up doing that, because I don't like that sort of thing. Anyway, big win for you. We talked before the fight about how a Sun Tzu has a tendency to make, some fights not that exciting, and it's a hard spot to be in, especially when you're on a roll like you are. Now that the fight is over, were you happy with what you did out there?
Yeah, I was really happy. Especially for someone that's so good at controlling the minutes of every fight that he fights in. I don't think that there was maybe any minute that I even lost that fight or wasn't in control, except for maybe a few little areas. But I mean, I was completely dominant as far as controlling it, and that's what I knew what was going to be to Sun Tzu. So yeah, I'm super pumped with how I did.
Yeah, and at any point, like it didn't seem to me, but it didn't seem like he hurt you at any point, that you were in trouble, that you were rocked, that you were in any kind of compromising situation, right?
No, I was, my head hurts a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
just in like certain areas, but I think maybe I got hit 2 or 3 times in the entire fight clean.
How would you explain your confidence right now? Because it seems like you are fighting at a very high confidence rate. Like it just seems like that you're going in there, you're going to dominate people, given your reach, given your skills, given what you've been doing these days. I just feel that from you, as opposed to maybe early on when you're trying to figure yourself out. How would you describe your confidence right now?
The delusion is becoming a reality, so every fighter likes to live kind of in the delusion that they're the best guy in the world. I mean, you hear that all the time. And I mean, you never really know if you're living in delusion or if you're living in reality until you actually get tested in those times. So, I mean, I'm starting to live in the reality of my once previous delusion.
Did you happen to talk to Dominic Cruz before or after the event? I know you guys had that interesting run-in a couple fights ago. Did you happen to talk to him this time?
No, I didn't. I was introduced to his mom in the hotel lobby after the
Oh,
fight, though, and she was really nice.
okay. So no trash talking, no tension or anything like that.
No, no, no.
Okay. And like, would it be fair to say that you kind of like when he calls your fights? Does that motivate you having him there cage side?
Mm, I don't really think about it. Like,
Okay.
it's cool, I guess, but I'm not like a star boy for him, or a star fan, or I mean, it's cool, but it's not something that is on my mind while I'm fighting or anything.
Here's my
Joe Rogan, though. Joe Rogan. I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan. That was cool to meet him yesterday.
okay. That was your first time meeting him?
Yeah, man. It was my 5th fight. That was the first one that he's called for me.
Okay, because you were on the fight nights before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay, all right. All right. So you're a big Joe Rogan, Mark. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's my concern right now. So that was 4 in a row at bantamweight, 7 in a row overall, looking very good in the UFC. But you kind of like lay out the division. All right, Frankie's moving down. Faber's the legend out there, who's back in the mix. You've got Cejudo, who's still injured and nursing that. Jan and Sterling. You have the same winning streak as Sterling, by the way, yet for some reason you're not talked about in the same sort of vein. Dominic Cruz is coming back. Where does this leave Cory Sandhagen? I feel like we're staring at a Tony Ferguson situation here where you might have to win like 11 in a row before even sniffing a title shot.
I hope that that's not the case. I'm still trying to figure out how all of that works, how that entire area of promoting fights and stuff works. But I think right now I'm kind of okay with it. I wanted some type of interim belt after this. I mean, I don't really know where the division is. Like you said, like everything is kind of all over the place. And I looked at the top 10 just the other day, and with Frankie coming down and Faber back, like it seems like it's going to be very hard to convince people into me fighting for a belt after this one or even the next one. So for me, it's not about whether I'm earning or if I'm deserving it. In my head, everyone in this top 10 is very, very similar stylistically. And if anyone's going to beat Henry Cejudo in the division, it's going to be me. And that's all that I can really say. Whether I earned it or deserved that fight, I don't know. But I know that I'm the only one who's most likely going to beat this guy in the division.
Other than just being very confident in yourself, why do you feel that way? What about your skills and his skills make you feel that way?
One, I would say, is the style that me and my coach have put together for myself, where I can really maximize my advantages. No one else is this tall. No one else is this fast. No one else has this good footwork. So, me being able to maximize on that, along with my physical abilities, just makes for a nightmare for someone to try to figure out in 15 minutes. Like, I know it sounds weird, but we've put together a style that has been tested through the test of time. It's not something that Sunsao knew exactly what I was going to do, and he couldn't do anything about it. He knew that I was going to control the range. He knew that I was going to pressure, and he could not hit me. So like what does that say? Especially with such like a guy who's a legend, and he did a few things that were very smart. He didn't try to take me down by taking a shot. All of his takedowns that he attempted on me, and he got me down by scrambled on top every single time anyways, but all of those were off of catching leg kicks. So Sunsao came in with a very, very good game plan, countering the low kicks every single time. Like, came in with a very, very good game plan and still had nothing for me. So I think that really speaks to like what I'm doing and in the direction that I'm going. And my style is just superior.
Speaking of that height, you're 5'11", right?
Mm-hmm.
How are those weight cuts going? Do you feel eventually like you have to expedite this process because at some point it's going to get a little tougher as your career goes along, or is it relatively easy?
No, it's relatively easy. I'm very disciplined, man. Like I'm okay with giving up a lot of things in my life in order for this to be the number one priority for the next probably 10 years of my life that I'm doing this, hopefully. So it's not hard as long as I stay on top of it. If I'm on top of it, it's not tough. I'm not going to take a fight that feels too short notice for me to miss weight ever. So they're not as hard as a lot of people would seem. But yeah, I look at myself in the cage too, and I'm like, man, I look huge because I always grew up really small. So I kind of have like a little man complex where I grew 8 inches in 1 year in high school. So I went into high school maybe at 4'7", and so my entire life I was the littler guy. And then for me to go out and see how much bigger I am than these guys looks weird on camera to me, because in my eyes they're a little bit closer in size.
Aiden, did that hurt? Like that kind of growth spurt? Was that painful?
I don't recall. I don't think I remember getting a lot of cramps in my legs when I was
Yeah.
younger, but yeah, I guess I did cramp up a lot.
Are we still, are we still with the other job as well, or are you focusing 100% on MMA these days?
No, I'm still at my facility, Mount St. Vincent's. They're really cool about me working around my training schedule. So I'm still working with the kids. It's not that much, and to be honest, it's really hard to form a relationship with the group of kids that we have on such little hours that I'm working every week. But I try to look at it more of, all right, I'm giving these people a break, because it's a pretty emotionally exhausting job. So if I can go in for a few hours a week and kind of like help out with them and give them little breaks here and there throughout the day, then that's kind of worth it to me.
Are they watching your fights now? Like now that you're doing so well, you're fighting
Oh,
on
yeah.
ESPN. Is this a big deal?
I would say it's a big deal. Yeah, I mean, they definitely, yeah, they got a crew together, and everyone, all of my coworkers would go to some bar and watch it together and send me videos of them cheering and stuff afterwards. So yeah, I would say it's a big deal to them.
That's amazing. So, okay, so since we've established, by the way, how do you feel? I'm hearing that they're trying to do Sterling versus Frankie Edgar. How do you feel about Sterling getting that matchup?
Um, I don't know. Edgar, I would guess, probably wins that fight. Um,
You think so?
I think so. Frankie's good, man, and Frankie did not look bad against Max. The only question is for me is like, is Frankie going to handle that cut down to 135? Okay. So I don't know. I don't know, man. It's really tough, because everyone in this division right now for me is going to be a banger of a fight. Like I was looking at the top 6-7 guys. Like even if it's me and Marias, or me and Jan, or me and Cruz, or me and Faber, or me and Frankie, or me and Aljo, like all of those fights are going to be bangers. So whoever I get next, man, it's going to get a lot of attention. And if it's not for a belt, who cares anyways?
So, in a perfect world for you, who makes sense? Like, who do you see that is even out there? I threw out Moraes. Who do you see as a potential?
All of them,
Oh,
honestly. I see all of them. I think maybe the top three. I don't know when Cruz is coming back, but maybe the top three would probably either be Rice, Jan, or Cruz. I
okay.
think that those three fights, I think would do a lot for me.
Okay.
Probably more so on the end of Moraes, and Cruz would do a little bit more for me. Jan, I think he's an up and comer too. So I would like to fight someone a little bit more established, so that it grows my name a little bit more. But yeah, I think that those top three would for sure be bangers, and it would be an honor to fight all those guys. They're very good.
Well, you continue to do your part, my man. All you could do is win at this point, I guess. And I think you have put a lot of people on notice. I think it's a shame that you're not being discussed, among those guys like Sterling and Jan. But hopefully, after a win over Rafael Sunsao, you start to get that respect a little bit. So
I think I'm
congratulations.
making it look too easy.
Maybe it's that. Yeah, maybe it's that. But yeah, to do something like that against Rafael Sunsao is very impressive. So congrats. Enjoy the victory. Enjoy Disney, and let me know if you guys survive. There's a picture. You can get like that little picture after when you walk out.
Yeah.
Please just be ready for it, and don't eat beforehand, because you're gonna throw up if you do.
All right, all good advice. I'll pass it on.
All right, enjoy. Thank you, Cory. Congrats.
All right, Ariel. Have a good show.
There he is, Cory Sandhagen, one of my favorites right now, doing such great things. Has won 7 in a row. Congratulations to him. All right, let's not make our next guest wait any longer. I am so happy that he is joining us. He is the new reigning defending UFC heavyweight champion. He defeated Daniel Cormier in the 4th round on Saturday in Anaheim via TKO. He went to the body repeatedly. In fact, he went 14 times to the body in that 4th round alone. He is the pride of Ohio. He is Stipe Miocic. Stipe, how are you?
Yeah, I'm tired. You gotta bother me, man.
I know. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you not want to do this right now?
There's not even a number for it. I love you, and I'll do it for you. And I am the champion at your little trivia game, so it's kind of an obligation for me to do it.
Yes, I appreciate you remembering that. You didn't mention it at all week. I thought you would boast the fact that, with people saying you're looking for a new title, that you already are a champion. I had to get a new belt, by the way, because you took my belt home. But this man right here is the proud owner of this title. This man won the trivia challenge in June. But Stipe, by the way, let's not waste any time. I want to say to you one very important thing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Stipe. Happy birthday to you.
Thanks, homie. That means a lot. Thank you, man.
37, right?
Yeah. I got another cake right here if you can see it.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that cake's way better than mine. I didn't even have a candle, but I hope you appreciate the gesture.
It's a carrot cake. It's beautiful.
So any plans for the birthday? What do you got planned?
No plans. I think some family might come over. I don't know if my mom's gonna come over. She's working, so she'll probably come over this weekend because she's busy. But I think my parents and my in-laws, my wife's parents might come over and hang out for a little bit. But I'm just relaxing. Honestly, it's just get in the pool, hot tub, and just let my body rest. I'm beat up. It was a good fight.
Yeah, how is your body feeling? You did take some big shots in the first 3 rounds. How are you feeling physically?
Well, that's fine. Just more my hands and everything, and just it's a really much sore. Just sore, just anything. But my head's fine. Just I got a little beat up. I always get beat up. It's a good fight. I bruised like a peach.
Right.
So
you look great.
But yeah, I feel great, honestly. I mean, I heal pretty quickly, so I'll be good. But just my hands are real beat up.
What is going through your mind going into the second round? That first round was pretty much, all DC. Couldn't have gone any better for him. What are you thinking? Are you still confident? Are you still composed? Or are you starting to worry at all?
No, I was fine. I felt good. I just need to get my head out of my butt, man. I was fighting terrible the first 2 rounds. I really was. I just couldn't get my feet out. I was in quicksand, man. I just couldn't get out of it. And and then I started opening up in the third and the fourth round. That's when I really opened up.
Yeah,
so
and
I saw a chink in the armor.
have you ever felt that way before, where you just felt like you couldn't get going in a fight?
Not like that.
Really? Did he surprise you with anything that he did early on?
No, I knew he was gonna come at me like he was. He came in later, so I knew he was gonna come in. But I just, I don't know. Maybe it was maybe a little ring rust. I don't know. Maybe adrenaline. I have no idea. But it took me a little bit to get going. But I'm happy. Listen, I don't care how it starts. Just how it's not the start, it's about the finish.
Right. What did your coaches tell? That adjustment, and I think it came from Marcus Marinelli, to start going to the body going into the fourth round. Was that something you guys worked on? He was like, hey, it's there. You need to start exploiting this. Or was this an adjustment that he made midway through the fight?
No, we talked about it during the week, and he said, man, listen, that body's open. We actually talked about it whole camp. And he finally said, hey, dude, let's do it. I said, okay. He's my coach. I listened to him. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. And all my coaches.
Right. Could you tell early on with some of those punches that it was really starting to hurt him?
Yeah. He was wincing. The one time I'm pretty sure I knocked a little air out of him. I could definitely see. Some of those throws you see, he's definitely wincing in pain.
Right. And were you surprised that he didn't try to wrestle you more, especially after the success that he had in the first?
Well, just that one takedown. It wasn't. He didn't get it right away. But it wasn't like he picked me up, of course. But
right.
I was kind of mad about that takedown.
What are you thinking when you're up? Like, it seemed like 30 seconds on his shoulder. It was more like 10 or so. But what are you thinking in your mind?
I don't know. Is this dude gonna suplex me? I don't know. I was like, is he gonna DDT me? I don't know. I thought I was like, we're doing some WWE stuff. It was weird. Yeah. I was waiting for it. And then he took me down and he got on top. He's great on top. He's great on the ground, good control, and I was just trying to weather the storm.
Yeah. Great dance moves, by the way. I didn't know. I know you're a man of many talents, but I didn't know quite like that.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I was just dumb. That was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. I think I was just caught up in the moment.
Now, when you say it was dumb that you shouldn't have done it, do you say it because you feel like it was rubbing it in, or do you say it because you feel like you're not a good dancer?
Yeah. No, not that. I don't do that, man. I was just happy with the win. I think I caught up in the moment.
Right. Have you practiced that before, or was that the first time you pulled that one off?
No, I've practiced that. Well, usually when I have a few beers in me, I'll do it.
Well, you look great in that moment. It was very impressive. You're very agile on your feet. We know that you're a great boxer, but not quite dancer. So it was nice to see.
I wish my feet were moving like that in the first round. It would have been a lot better.
Yeah. Could you take a step back now, Steve? We've talked many times over the past year about the frustration. I remember talking to you 2 weeks after the fight in July. I've never seen you so mad before because you were dismissed seconds after that loss in July of 2018. Brock walks in there. He disparages your name, all that. and everything that you guys had to go through, you and your management, your family, just waiting for the opportunity. They offered you fights. You didn't take the fights. You wanted that title fight. You wanted the rematch. You stuck to your guns. Now, 13 months later, to have that belt in back of you, to be champion again. Can you describe the emotions that you're feeling on this Monday?
It's like a glass case, just crazy. Honestly, I'm just happy. Listen, I'm blessed. I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to regain my title. I'm happy that my amazing wife, family, friends, coaches, and just was behind me and helped me along the way. And it was just I'm very lucky person.
I'm sure there was a part of you at one point that thought maybe you wouldn't get this crack again because of politics, not because you didn't deserve it, but with the Brock stuff and who knows how that plays out. I mean, I'm sure there was a part of you that maybe lost hope at some point throughout this process, right?
Yeah. I at times I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get it, honestly. But in the long run, I just had faith. It's going to work out. But if it didn't, it didn't. What are you going to do? I'm not going to dwell on it.
Yeah. Towards the end of your title run, the relationship with the brass was a little frosty. How would you describe it now?
We were giving each other hugs other night. It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're good.
You let Dana put the belt around your waist.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
Yeah?
Water under the bridge.
You don't want to let your coaches do it again this time?
I told Danny he could do it this time.
How nice of you. Very thoughtful.
Yeah.
How about things with DC? I know things were said leading up to the fight. Are there still hard feelings there?
No. Listen, man, it's all business. I hope he's doing well. I hope he's okay. Hope he heals up well. And, he's an amazing fighter. We had a great fight. I think a lot of people appreciated that fight. They loved it. That's what the fans, love to see. These two guys, two warriors, and he's an amazing fighter. And he gets all the credentials he needs and all the praise because he's such an amazing fighter.
And it's nice for the city of Cleveland, who now it seems like are very far from winning anything, for a Cleveland guy to win something, right?
Well, I mean, let's not get that far, babe. Come on now. Let's go. Cleveland Indians are pretty good. They're a game and a half back from first place, the number one wild card. They got the Browns who are looking stellar.
Yeah, we've seen this story before.
Look at you, Cocker. Also, you get the Toronto Raptors. You think you guys are on top of the world?
I saw LeBron. You see LeBron shout you out? Did you see that?
Yeah, that was cool. That was real cool, man. That was actually really, really cool.
Yeah. And I think your first title defense now as champion again has to be back in Cleveland. That scene was too great. Man. We got to do it. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Listen, I just want to heal up first, man. I'm gonna eat my cake. It's right in front of me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, wait. Did you hang up on me? He might have hung up on us. I annoyed him with the Cleveland. Can we reconnect? I just have a couple more questions for the champ, who is celebrating his 37th birthday. We are the same age. I'm apparently a little over a month older than Stipe. Is he back? The trivia challenge? Oh, you're calling him back. All right. Yes, he is the trivia challenge. Helwani knows trivia challenge champ. And he is a proud owner. We're going to do that again probably in November, so perhaps he'll be able to successfully defend his title. Shocked a lot of people. He was a big underdog going into that event and was able to dominate rather thoroughly. His knowledge, very impressive, and his fighting skills. And now we've come to learn his dancing skills, very impressive as well, with that little jig that he did after beating Daniel Cormier on Saturday in the 4th round. He's about to go off and celebrate his birthday, but I just had a couple more questions for Stipe before we get to our in-studio guest, Nick Newell, who's also a proud member of the NWO, by the way, the Newell World Order. He's fighting in Bellator. Stipe, are you there?
I am. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. I thought I pissed you off with that question. You're like, enough of this guy.
No, not at all. Honestly, people were calling me. I should put on Airplane Road.
I just wanted to ask before I let you.
Do not disturb.
I wanted to ask before I let you go. It seems like there's 3. I know, please don't get mad at me for asking this, but I would be remiss if I don't. There's a DC trilogy. There's an Ngannou rematch, or I think a John Jones fight.
Jones fight. Yeah.
What do you think?
That's the 3 questions I've got. Honestly, let me heal up, rest up, and we'll figure it out, man.
Okay, you're not leaning or interested in one thing over the other?
Nope. I'm just trying to heal up. It's my birthday today, man. Give me a break.
Okay. Is it fair to say you're done for the rest of the year?
I don't know about that, but let me just enjoy my carrot cake, man. Come on. Look at this thing.
Look at that. Whose arms are those? Those are impressive arms right there.
Those are, it's Jim Walters.
Oh my God! Look at those biceps. Wow.
All right, that's why I does curls every day.
Unbelievable. Can I ask, what do you think of the new belt?
I like it.
You like it?
I do.
You like it
It's
better than
pretty
the
cool.
old
I like
one?
I'm old school. I like the old school one, but the new one's new. It's nice. I do like it.
Okay. And this, of course, your first time fighting as a dad. Now you win the belt. Did you have a moment with your daughter? Did you show her the belt? I know she's only a year old, but what was that like, being able to share that with her?
She didn't care. She wanted to play with her toys.
But for you,
No,
it must have been cool, right?
It was honestly, it was awesome. It just, it was so hard not to wake up with her. We had a few obligations after the fight, and so we got back to the hotel room by like 1 or 2, and she it was weird because she sleeps like a rock, and she woke up and she knew we were there, and she woke up, and I picked her up and just put her in bed with us, and she oh my God, sorry about that.
No problem.
God, man, everyone's gonna stop calling me.
You're so popular.
That's terrible. But anyway, yeah, it was just amazing. I could sleep with the rest of the night in bed with us, and it was awesome.
Well, enjoy this, Stipe. Very happy for you once again. Congratulations on the win. Welcome back. You did it. And again, happy birthday. Should I send this to you guys, or should I eat the cupcake? What do you think I should do?
I'm gonna let you indulge in that one. You eat that one.
Okay. Thank you. And by the
Appreciate
way,
it, though. Thank you.
we're having another trivia challenge in November. If you want to defend the more important title, the NWO belt, you're more than welcome.
You let me know. Where's that one going to be at?
New York City, MSG.
Oh,
We're selling out MSG for it this time.
listen, dude. If you want me to win it again, I'll get a repeat. I'm not worried.
All right. We'd love to have you. For now, though, enjoy the day, enjoy the belt, enjoy your family, and thank you for doing this. I know how much Jim had to convince you to do it. I appreciate it very much.
No, actually, you didn't have to convince. I said I would love to.
Oh, thank you. I don't believe you, but thank you. I appreciate that.
I swear to God, true story. I swear to
Okay.
God.
All right. Thank you, Stipe. Congrats, man.
All right, but I'll talk to you. Thanks for having me.
All right. There he is, the new heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic. Now a two-time champ, because not only has he won the heavyweight title twice, but he's the NWO champ and he's the heavyweight champion of the UFC. So he's a champ in his own right. Pretty amazing. All right. So that's his story. Now, let's not waste any time. Let's say hello to the man, Nick Newell, who's joining us. Look at that. We go from one man to the next. How are you, Nick? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you here. This is very exciting. Whoop, as the chair bounces away. You're wearing shorts. Is it freezing for you in here?
It is a freezer in here.
Yes, I know.
This is how I dress, so.
Okay.
Here we
Well,
are.
how far do you live from here, by the way, Bristol, Connecticut?
About 40 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
40 minutes.
So not too bad. You should come visit us more often.
I know.
We're in
I
your neck of the
know.
woods.
Invite me,
Okay.
and I'll come through.
I will. By the way, NWO, you're sort of a proud member of a different NWO.
Yes, the
but
Newell World
the
Order.
Newell. You did it first. I acknowledge that. You kind of did the play on words first. I'm stealing. We're the Nose World Order.
Oh, okay.
You get it?
Yes.
Get it 'cause
Yes,
of the
I get
nose?
it. Yeah, because you have a big
Yes, exactly. Congratulations on this opportunity. This is a big deal. You're making your Bellator debut this Saturday in your backyard, essentially, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Webster Bank Arena against Cory Browning. How far do you live from Bridgeport?
About 10 minutes from the arena.
No way.
So from Bridgeport, I live about 5 minutes, but
Okay.
to the arena is about 10 minutes. I grew up in Milford, Connecticut, which is about 15 minutes from there.
Okay.
And now I live in Trumbull, Connecticut, which is the next town over from Bridgeport. So I was actually, on my Instagram, I just posted a video driving past it because I was going to somewhere and I pass the arena all the time. So
Wow.
it's pretty cool. It's pretty motivating, and it's really good to have something that I can give back to my fans that have been there for me since day one, can come and see the people I grew up with. It's literally right there. I fought in Connecticut, but not my hometown.
Wow.
Usually an hour and a half away. So this one's good. I sold a ton of tickets. Bellator's going to be really happy.
Okay, so how did this whole thing come about? Because you took the year off, you came back, you won, looked good, and you were always hoping for that big opportunity. This is a big stage. How did this deal with Bellator happen?
Yeah, so I took some time off.
Yep.
Because I was having my son. So my wife was pregnant and it was our first kid, so I wanted to be there for her and support her. Family first over everything. But the whole time I was training and I was getting better. I was like, I knew what I had to work on, and I wanted to fix those things. And when you have a fight camp, it's hard to do those things. Fight camp's all about timing, and out of camp is all about technique. So I just worked on my technique, improved my technique, and fixed the things I thought needed fixing and jumped right back in there and won fast and I was a little banged up from the camp, but I took like 2 weeks off and started training again, and this opportunity came to me and I'm jumping on it.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong. This is a one fight deal, right?
Yeah, so one fight deal.
Okay, so it seems like perhaps because you're a big draw in Connecticut, you help sell a lot of tickets, as you said. They're putting you on the card, but it's also an opportunity for you they've opened the door for you to burst through that door, correct?
Yeah, so ideally, I wanna go fight for Bellator and raise my stock.
Yeah.
So by fighting for Bellator, it's a big opportunity. It's a big arena near my house. They're giving me a good push, which is cool. I'm ready. I'm gonna win this fight. I'm very confident. But it's like an audition to me. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like I win this fight, and then Bellator will hopefully offer me a really good contract, a nice long term something where I can grow with them and be a part of the great organization.
Have they said to you, like, you know, do good things, impress us, and then we'll talk? Is there a clause in the contract where they get the right to sign you first? Anything like that?
No, it's just one fight
Really?
deal.
So you
It's
can
like,
go literally sign somewhere else on Sunday morning, technically.
I could,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're not looking to do that.
No, I'm actually I appreciate the people that give me opportunities.
Sure.
So hopefully I can land in a good opportunity with Bellator after this and grow from there, especially since they come to Connecticut all the time. And
They do.
I've gone all over the place to fight and traveled. It's easier when you're fighting at home.
Could you even put a number on how many tickets you've sold? You're such a huge draw here in Connecticut. Do you have any idea?
Basically, I mean, they gave me a bunch of tickets. I sold them, and then I told a bunch of people like, "Hey, can you meet me? I'm like, "No, I'm not meeting you. I'm training for a fight.
Yeah.
Go buy it online." So I told a bunch of people to buy them online. So
Okay.
I definitely a couple hundred tickets.
Can you describe the feeling going into this one compared to the fight on Contender Series? Seems like there's similarities, right? Like you have to win this fight to get the big contract next. How do you feel compared to last year?
Yeah, it's good. I'm a different person now that I am.
How so?
I'm a father now.
Hmm.
I've matured a little bit. I kind of figure out the things I need to work. I made some changes, and even in that fight, you watch that fight. I thought it was a good fight. I'll say that he won. That's cool. But there's like not really a lot about him that he could end up being the champion. He could be a great fighter, and I took it to him that fight. And I got taken down and controlled. So I worked on that,
Hmm.
and I fixed the things that need fixing, and I'm back. And I know that I'm elite. I know I belong amongst the elite, and I've been asking for these opportunities, and Bellator's giving it to me. So I'm very appreciative of that.
You said you changed some things, like what?
I just my schedule.
Okay.
I run my own gym in Connecticut. It's called Fighting Arts Academy. I'm advertising it right now.
Yes.
We're moving to Milford next month. We're in West Haven
Okay.
right now. Not that it means anything because people are watching from all over the world,
Yes.
but for my Connecticut people. So I kind of mix up my schedule. I brought in some coaches that I was doing everything on my own. So I brought in some coaches that I like to work with, and now it allows me some time to work with them and also travel up to Springfield, Massachusetts, where my head coach, Fighting Arts Academy, Jeremy Libashevsky, who I've been working with since day one. I go to him more, and I just get more time in, because I'm trying to provide for my family
Yeah.
and with some steady income, and also become an elite fighter. And it's kind of hard to balance, but I feel like I found that balance. And right now, my timing, everything, my weight cut, my camp, my team is awesome, and I've built a great thing in Connecticut, and I have a great system that revolves around me when I fight, and I really like that.
As opposed to having to do everything yourself. You want to be the star of the show, right? Like you don't want to just be another cog in the wheel.
Yeah, I prefer the small camp
Yeah,
system
yeah.
for myself.
Sort of like
where-
boxing, right? Where
Yeah,
like
more
everything-
like a boxer.
Right,
and
right.
It's not a knock on the big teams because
No.
the big teams have the most guys, the best guys, but it's just different people thrive under different environments, and I found a really good thing here in Connecticut.
I saw a photo on your Instagram recently where you were with Glover Teixeira,
Yes.
working with him. Is that a new thing as well?
Yeah, I recently started working with him a little bit more. And in the future, I'm gonna add more time in with him and figure my schedule. But he's a very motivating guy.
Yeah.
His gym's about 35 minutes from my house, which is
Okay.
pretty convenient. And obviously he's one of the best fighters in the world. So Glover and I have a good relationship, and we get along really well.
Yeah.
And he's just a great guy. So if there's that tool there in Connecticut that's right there, I'm gonna use it,
Right.
And he was welcoming me at his gym, and I couldn't be more appreciative.
Is it nice to be perhaps on the cusp of getting something secure from a big organization? Because I see on Twitter, like, you're campaigning to do things. You have to kind of, raise your hand and say, I'm here. You guys are going to Connecticut. You're going to my neck of the woods. Those days could be over if things go well on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure at some point you don't want to keep doing that, right?
Yeah, I definitely don't. I mean, I had a lot of buzz around me, in World Series of Fighting, and I went 4-1 there. Had some really great fights, and then I was worn out, injured, beat up, and I had a moment where I was like a little weak and a little just done with it. So I took some time off, and I came back, and I kind of had to start over. So it was I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I'm special or deserve anything more than anyone else. I just like fighting, and I love challenging myself. And if I have to ask for something or kind of throw my name in there, I don't mind it. But it's better when people are asking for you and fighting for you.
Sure.
So hopefully after this fight, I'll definitely, I won't have to ask anymore. People will be asking me.
Yeah. I haven't talked to you in a minute. After the Contender Series fight, how did you handle that? Being so close and not realizing that dream. How was that on you?
This game is this game is crazy.
Yeah.
I to be honest with you, I did what I could. I prepared to the best of my ability. I went in there to fight. I went in there to get the finish, and sometimes these things, they don't work out the way that you hoped, And the Contender Series is a relatively new show, but there's been guys that have lost on the Ultimate Fighter and came back and been champions. So it's like not a determination of skill or lack of skill. It was just on this given day, he was a better guy. So I'm not even really bothered. Of course, I'm upset. I wish I won. I tried my hardest, but I know where I belong. I train with these guys. I do my small camp thing, but I also go to other gyms and cross train with people, and I know where I stand. I'm not here to embarrass myself.
Mhm.
I wouldn't do this if I didn't think that I was ready. I wouldn't ask for these opportunities if I didn't know that I was capable of competing. Because one thing is, because of my arm, I get a lot more attention, but also it's not all positive attention. A lot of it's negative, and it's a lot of people that can't wait for me to lose so they could say, "I told you so. I know he doesn't belong." And then it's people are on one side or the other, really.
Yeah.
It's like you're really here, you're down with me, or you're not with me. And for me, it's like kind of ignoring that and just being real with myself is an important thing, and not letting people's opinions stop you. But I know what I'm capable of, and no one's perfect, and I know that I'm gonna have my day, and I know that I'm gonna be able to do great things in this game. If you look at my fight with Justin Gaethje, he's a very good fighter.
Yeah.
I hurt him multiple times on the feet. I ended up losing, but I did better than some guys that are ranked top 10 in the world. And not a knock on those guys, but we had a dogfight. So it's really the Contender Series fight. You don't know anything about this guy that I fought. So it's whatever, to me. And it's like there's nothing you can do about it except get better, and that's exactly what I've done. I've gotten better, and now I'm fighting for Bellator, and I'm gonna make a statement.
I'm just wondering if you were down afterwards, if you wanted to take a break, if you checked out, if you need. I know you were about to become a dad. So that was, you know what I mean, like how you handled that. There was so much hoopla surrounding that fight, right? This was the big opportunity. It was. I mean, you were the most talked about guy on that season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I was the biggest fight that the show's ever had.
I'm not surprised.
But I'm just trying to not be. I'm trying to stay grounded.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that,
yeah.
But like definitely with
No,
the
that
media
was a big
attention
deal.
and everything. After the fight, I was sad, so I ate a bunch of food that's really bad and got a little fat, and then I was like, no, I gotta keep going. I gotta get back on track. And literally, I was back training within like a week or two.
Okay.
And I trained that while I was still in Las Vegas because one of my fighters had a fight out there. A guy, Justin Sumter, had a fight, so I had to corner him. So I stayed out there and I trained while I was there.
Okay.
Right after my fight, I wasn't done. I just wanted to be there for my wife and support her, so that's why I took time off.
Okay. You were always planning on taking that time off. It had nothing to do with the loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's just whether opportunities present themselves,
Right.
and after that, no one really was reaching out to me, but I was training and getting ready in case anyone came to me. And CES MMA is like a great organization. I love them. I would recommend any fighter fights for CES because they take great care of their fighters and they give you opportunities. And they came to me and they were like, Nick, we really want you to fight on our card. And they gave me the opportunity. And now I'm here.
Yeah, that helped you get back into the
Yeah.
public eye and whatnot. Had this Bellator opportunity not come after that one, were you planning on still keep on going? Like, would you have been happy continuing to fight for CES?
I think they're a great organization.
Huh.
Maybe I wouldn't have fought this summer,
Okay.
but I was still training. And when the opportunity came, I was already in shape and I was feeling great. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll skip the barbecues and the beach and I'll just train because you only really get one life to do this stuff, and I'm not really here to waste too much time. So I really focused in, and I'm ready to go. Man, it was a little bit shorter notice than I usually get, but it actually worked out fantastic because I was already in shape when they called me, and I felt fantastic, and I'm very, very excited. I've had years where I'm doing camps and I get hurt or something happens, and this camp everything has gone great, and I can't really complain about anything in it. And I'm ready to go.
I'm surprised they put you on the prelims. I'm sure you don't care. I know you're not going to make a big stink, but like considering what you just said about Contender Series, you're as well known as probably every other fighter except for the two guys in the main event, who maybe even these days more people know who you are than Sergey Kharitonov, right? Like the newer fan, so to
Yeah.
speak. I'm surprised they put you on the prelims.
Well, you got to stick with your people. So I
Yeah.
have a one fight deal, so
True.
it kind of makes sense to put the guys that they have more long term. They're going to build around
Right.
on the main card. So that's what, even though I have more followers and a bigger following, it's still it makes sense to me. It'd be nicer if I was on the main card
Yeah.
because I'd at least get more sponsors.
Oh yeah.
But
that's true.
but I'll make it work, and I'll do my thing and go out there and make a statement, and they'll put me on the broadcast anyway.
You see, I feel like the matchup itself, you versus Browning, leads me to believe that they're not just looking at you as a one-off, because Browning has a little thing going on himself. He beat Kevin Ferguson Jr., Baby Slice. He then beat Aaron Chalmers. Like, these are guys that they had high hopes for. So now maybe they're putting him in this spot as maybe being like, the rising star killer or whatever you want to call it, even though I feel like you're kind of past that point anyway. But you know what I mean? But if you beat him, now you're the guy who stopped him. He's not
Yeah.
just some schmo that they picked off that we don't know. Like, there's a story there. So I feel like they're subtly investing in you as well, even though they gave you one fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I felt the same way, and I really appreciate that from them. And the thing about him is he's a good, well-rounded fighter. I studied him. I'm prepared for him.
Did you know about him before?
Yeah, because when he fought Baby Slice, it was in Connecticut, so I was there.
Okay.
And I watched it. You get two guys like
Those guys aren't at your level, though,
like
right?
Chalmers and Baby Slice, and I obviously watched the fights that they had with he's had with them, and he beat them, but these guys don't have the experience that I have.
Right.
And I think that there's little things about them where in the future I think they'll be very good, but right now they're not ready for it.
Right.
And I'm ready for it. And I have the composure and the experience that these guys don't have. So they fell apart later in the fight. I'm not going to fall apart like that in a fight. This is my 18th professional fight and my 21st fight overall. So like you take someone that's had like 5 fights and versus someone that's had 21 fights is very different.
Right. That's a great point. When did you start? When was your debut? What year?
I turned pro 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Wow.
2009 I turned pro, and I had my first fight in 2008.
One thing that I've wondered, you often see like when you see someone on a big stage on television who is like you doing well, that spawns like a new generation of people, and maybe it's too soon. But I'm wondering if anyone who's also a congenial amputee has come to you and said, "I want to be a fighter as well." Like, have you trained with it? I've never seen you in photos or anything with other fighters. Are there anyone's out there? No, am I wrong?
No, you're wrong. Yeah,
Okay.
you're wrong.
All right.
So I get message from people that want to be fighters all the time.
Yeah.
And my message to them is like, I give them tips and I give them advice and mindset stuff, but like a lot of it you kind of have to figure out.
Yeah.
But I've had kids come to me and I've done lessons with them. But there's a guy that fights for a Lion Fight. His name's Jake Peacock. I cornered him when he fought in New York City.
Okay.
He is a destroyer. Now he's not an MMA guy. He's a kickboxer.
Okay.
Right? But he's a young guy too. He's like maybe early 20s, maybe 20, 21, like young guy, and he just had a sensational knockout in his Lion Fight debut.
Okay. He
And
trains with you?
No, he was just in New York City, and
Okay.
we just talked. So he's like, "Hey, you want to come to my fight and help out in the corner?" So I went and
Sick.
cornered him, and he won by knockout in like 30 seconds, and then he won again in the first round. And before me, there was a kickboxer, Baxter Humby, who was amazing and a world champion. And then in grappling, Jean-Jacques Machado was a fantastic grappler. So I feel like I'm not the first.
Okay.
I won't be the last, but in MMA, I'm just the biggest name for mixed martial arts. But it's also not a contest, If,
Sure.
if some guy came along and that was amazing with one hand, I would think that is like the coolest thing ever,
Right.
and it's good to see that, like I said before, that you can be a victim of your circumstances or you create your own, and you can sit there and be like, oh, life's so hard for me, or I can't do this or that, or the reason why. But I feel like people like me because they can relate to me, because everyone has their struggles. I don't think that my path was harder than anyone else's. I don't think it took me like, oh, I did this and I overcame that. You'll never hear me saying that. Of course it was hard,
Yeah.
Of course I had to do a lot and I had to deal with a lot and do that. But everyone has problems and everyone has things going on in their life that people can't see. Mine, you can see it, and it's obvious what I'm going through, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to me because of that.
You ever hear from kids from back in school who might have been mean to you and now see what you do for a living and apologize or anything like that?
I mean, people really, the truth is, growing up, I always had a lot of friends, and like people would obviously say little things about me, and I would always be quick to defend myself, and I didn't really allow myself to be bullied because I always kind of had a little bit of a dog in me,
Okay.
like I was always kind of tough. It wasn't until that I started becoming a popular fighter and the internet that people really started bullying me.
Really? I can imagine.
Yeah, I was
Really?
like, man, people are mean,
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of kids out there. I spoke to a lot of kids that definitely get bullied and are in different circumstances. So in my head, I've always just kind of just been like, yeah, whatever, type of guy. So maybe people have said things that have been very mean to me in the past, and people have made comments that like are very mean, but I kind of just kind of roll with them and just ignore them for the most part. I don't really like drama or issues like
Yeah.
or conflict that much. So I know that sounds crazy because I fight people in a
Yeah.
cage, but like I have enough problems. I have enough real world problems that I deal with and things that I have to worry about in my life that I don't need to be arguing with someone on the internet about something.
Right. And I mean, like you said, very, very well. People are very mean
Yeah,
online. Do you not like read the comments as much these days? I know like early on in your career, you were very active on social media. How are you now? Have you changed your ways?
If you write on my Instagram, I'm gonna see it and follow it.
okay.
But sometimes with the comments, I don't even really read them in the article. I mean, you get the same comments every time. So you go through and you see an article about me, and it's gonna be the same thing. Like either like I can't wait to see this guy fight. He's amazing. Like I love him. Like New World Order, stuff like that. And then you get people that are like, oh, he sucks. He lost to Justin Gaethje. You know, like I'm like, okay, buddy. Like he's beating a lot of people. Let's just chill out.
Right.
Okay. And then you get people that are like, oh, his opponent will have the upper hand. Got to hand it to this guy. 2 thumbs up for this guy. You know, and it's just like stupid stuff. It's very low hanging fruit. And it doesn't really affect me anymore. You know, so it's like I know exactly what the comments are gonna say, so I don't even read it.
You mentioned that you just became a dad. How's fatherhood?
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah. How old is your son now?
My son Wyatt is 8 months now.
8 months.
So he was born on December 7th, which is actually the same day that I won the XFC World Title, which kind of changed my life.
Right.
And same day that I won the second World Series of Fighting.
Really?
Fight. So it's kind of a very significant day to me, aside from the whole Pearl Harbor thing, which was horrible.
Right.
But you know, it was kind of a crazy day of all days to be born.
Yeah. And do you feel like now, I was just talking to Stipe about this, and I remember, like Cerrone's talked about this. So you had your first fight very recently.
Yeah.
As a dad, do you feel like you approach the fight differently now?
Not really.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
I appreciate that.
And people have asked me this question. And the way that I look at it is probably different from other people. So I have to fight, I have to provide for my family, I have to do this. But like the truth is, like, all I'm gonna do is go out there and train as hard as I can and fight the best that I can and give it my all and never give up and give it everything I have, and your family's gonna love you no matter what.
Right.
Of all the people that you have to fight for, your family is like the last people you should be worried about.
Right.
My wife and my son are gonna love me no matter what, so I don't feel any extra pressure being a father than I did before.
Right.
You know, I'm doing this because I love it. I could do anything I want and be good at it. That's my mindset. If I dedicate myself to anything, I'm gonna be good at it because I'm gonna go that extra mile and make sure that I'm the best at it. You know, if I really love it, I'm gonna do it. So for me, that's MMA, and that's my goal. And if there was ever something else I wanted to do, I will go full steam ahead in that. But there's not.
Right.
You know, and my family sees how hard I work. They see everything I put in, and my son has no idea because he's a baby.
Sure.
But like my wife sees that, and she doesn't love me because I'm a good fighter. She loves me because of the person I am.
Right.
So there's no extra pressure from my family. No one in my family ever pushed me to be anything. I just always made all the decisions of things I wanted to do on my own, and they supported me. You know, no one in my family even played sports before me.
Wow.
So, you know, my wife was actually a really good athlete, most athletic in high school, Division II tennis, like good athlete. So she understands the hard work part, and everyone around me in my community and my people, they all support me. So it's good.
I apologize if this is a stupid question, but was there any concern that your son would be born with one hand as well? Is
That's a wild question.
Is it stupid?
No. So there's no, actually it's not stupid. Okay. So there's what I was born. I honestly don't know why I was born with one hand, and like I'll go and speak to kids and they'll be like, oh, I was born like this because I never looked into it.
Really?
There's certain ways that you can be born. No, they never told me.
Okay, interesting.
So I know that like there's certain things that are hereditary, but I know that this is not. That's why I had a very popular post I did that was joking. So we're at the midwife, and she was doing the ultrasound, and they said 10 fingers, 10 toes, and I said already off to a better start than daddy. And the midwife like didn't get it. She like didn't laugh at all because she didn't get my sense of humor. And my wife's like, Nick, shut up. So I tweeted it. But definitely, I mean, to me, it's not a big deal. You know, I mean, you can, like I said, it's not how far back you start. If you're willing to run faster, you can still win the race.
Right.
So if I had a son that was born without a leg, or arm, whatever, it wouldn't be a big deal because I know that he'd be fine because I was able to go through it. But he wasn't, and it was never a concern.
I love the fact that it feels like you're the story of the weekend. There's no UFC this weekend. There's just this one big event. There's other smaller shows, but to me, even though you're on the prelims, you getting this opportunity after everything that you've been through is really great. And I think quite frankly, it's about time Bellator gives you this chance, because I know they've been to Connecticut enough to where it would have been warranted in the past. But maybe this was the right time. You're a dad now, as you said, you're a little more mature. You had that time off. Maybe it was supposed to happen now as opposed to a couple of years ago.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, and I appreciate the opportunity that they're giving me. And it's definitely the right time. And I feel like a lot of people are interested in my fight, and it's gonna be a banger. I mean, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna lay it all out on the line, and I'm gonna do what I do best, and that's win fights.
You feel like a W isn't enough? Like you have to do something spectacular to get them truly invested in you? Just get the W.
Yeah, I'm just trying to win.
All right.
I'm trying. I'm
No
not
sense
gonna
in putting
change.
that pressure.
Well, if you watch my fights, they're always exciting anyway.
They are.
So
you're Mr. Must See TV.
yes,
That's what
exactly.
I dubbed you a long
So
time ago.
my fights are always exciting no matter what. So I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm just gonna fight this guy, and I'm a finisher through and through. If you look at my record, I'm 15 wins, and 12 of them are finishes in the first round. So that's fine, and I can go 3 rounds. I've won decisions,
Yep.
So it's exciting. It's
Yes.
exciting that I get to do this opportunity in front of my people for organization that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Their production value is the best in the game, and they're making some really big moves. So I'm excited to get this opportunity, and hopefully after this fight, some even bigger opportunities. But again, I'm not going to get ahead of myself.
It's Bellator 225 this Saturday from the Webster Bank Arena in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The main event is Matt Mitrione against Sergey Kharitonov, number 2. Vitaly Minakov against Javier Yala. Tyrell Fortune on the card as well. The undercard is interesting. A lot of familiar names such as yourself, Austin Vanderfort, a.k.a. Mr. Van Zant, and others as well. So I'm looking forward to it. That kicks off at 5:45 Eastern. You're towards the top of these. So I would guess maybe, I don't know, close to 7 or so you'll be fighting.
I'll tell everyone show up and watch the whole card.
All right.
We got a lot of guys from Connecticut fighting, and a lot of guys from the area.
Yeah.
They just put a bunch of good undercard fights on. So
Yeah, Ricky Bandejas as well.
Yeah, 2 of the biggest draws, me and Mike Kimball in Connecticut.
That's right, your boy.
Are both fighting. So the place is going to be crazy for us because my people root for him and his people root for me, and we have a lot of the same people. And then a guy, John Manley, who I train with a bunch of times, is fighting. So I'm very excited for this card. Obviously, I'm not really worried about anyone else. I'm only thinking about myself.
Sure.
But it's very good for the fans, and I'm very excited that I get to fight on the same card as these guys. And it's going to be a great show. And I'm the people's main event.
You are, my man. Congratulations on this opportunity. Good luck to you, and thanks for coming in. I know that you're cutting weight and it's a hectic week for you, but I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to see you again. There he is, Nick Newell, one of the great stories in the history of this sport. He said the people's main event, also Mr. Must See TV. Every time this man fights, it is Must See TV. There's the lineup right over there this Saturday at the Webster Bank Arena in Bridgeport. They're gonna usher you out here, Nick.
Okay, I'm getting kicked out the building.
We don't take.
I'm not leaving.
Show. Yeah. Good luck to you, my man. Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it greatly this Saturday in Bridgeport. So if you're in the area, not too far from where we are right now, go check it out. Some very good names. Yeah, he mentioned Kimball, who looked very good in his last fight at Madison Square Garden. He will be on the card as well. Okay, so that's Nick Newell's story. Now let's talk to another legend from the Northeast, Edward Alvarez, a.k.a. the Underground King, back on track after a big win a couple of weeks ago. There he is. Eddie, how are you?
Excellent, man. How's it going?
Everything's good. How was Aerosmith?
Oh, okay. So you've been following me, huh?
Of course. I follow everything you do.
Incredible. They did it was like an in-house show at the Brigada. Me and my wife went to. We don't miss his shows, so we've been to anyone where he's nearby. So
wow, that's your favorite band?
My wife's favorite band, yeah.
Okay.
Steven Tyler.
What's
He was like 5 foot from us at one point.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Did he recognize you?
Yeah, he knew who I was. I said, "Hey, Steve." He said, "Hey, what's up, Ed?"
Look at you.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
I wish, man. I wish.
I wouldn't have been surprised. I thought that you were big in that world. Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Always good to talk to you. By the way, I said earlier, before we get to your fight, I don't know why, and it was before I even knew you were going to be on the show, I was thinking about you during that Pettis-Diaz fight. Like, I feel like you've been intertwined with those guys, and I was thinking, like, I wonder what Eddie Alvarez thinks about this fight, if he was watching the fight. Did you watch it? Did you enjoy that fight?
I watched it right away. As soon as the lines came out, I knew I was going to take Diaz heavy. The matchup, I love, especially for betting people, the matchups I love. I love that style matchup for Nate. One thing about Nate these days is he picks good style matchups. You know what I mean? He does a good job doing that. So he made sure he got the right opponent, and the bookies had that all messed up. I was really happy about that. I maxed out on that. I was happy.
What did you think of how he looked?
He looked great. I like it. That's kind of Pettis' kryptonite, right? Like a pressure fighter, a guy who throws a lot of volume, stays in his face, and doesn't allow Pettis to move around and be creative, and just kind of stays on him. And Nate looked like he took a page out of my book when I fought Pettis. I never seen Nate clinch and kind of wrestle and grapple so much. So that was a good fight for him.
So a couple of weeks ago, we saw you in one championship, and we know about the story, how the first fight for one went, and then the second fight doesn't look like it's going your way either. And then in classic Underground King fashion, you're able to turn things around and pull off an amazing fight. But from what I understand, you were very banged up going into that fight, right?
Yeah. So we were 10 days before the fight, probably about, I think 2 days before I was about to leave for the Philippines, I messed my ankle up pretty bad at grappling practice, and it got a little iffy. We were considering just calling up and saying, I don't know if we can do this. So I kept a wrestling shoe on and kept my foot taped all the way up into the fight. So until the fight happened, the back in the locker room was the first time I actually moved around with a bare foot and got to feel exactly how it's going to feel the fight day. So it was all a little sketchy, but we were too close to the fight, too close to pull out. And we kept a strong belief in ourselves that we'll figure it out when we get in there, and we did.
How is it feeling now?
A lot better. I had a chance to lay off it. When you're 2 weeks from the fight and you still got to get down to weight a little bit, and you got all that nervous energy, you want to move around, it's difficult having an injury at that time. The timing's terrible. So now I actually have a chance to lay off it, to give it the proper time to rest and not keep getting inflamed and flame up on me. So I was happy. I'm happy about it right now.
Was it hard to cut weight with an injured ankle?
The great thing was, if I had to cut to 55, I was calling up and saying it's a no-go. If I had to make that weight cut the way I normally do, I got to run to do that. I got to do a lot of things to get to 55. So thank God we do hydrated weigh-ins, and I'm fighting closer to my natural weight, because otherwise that was a call out sick work.
Yeah.
Where I don't know how you call it.
Call out a sick? No, call out a sick. Call out a work sick.
Call out a work sick. That's what I was doing. If I had to cut the weight, because it would have been very difficult to cut down to 55 with a bum ankle.
And so in that fight, early on, like I said, not really going your way. Do you even remember what you're thinking? Because you can't start your one career 0-2, right? That would have been disastrous.
Yeah, but I mean, that can't be on my mind, right?
Sure.
I just got to worry about what's in front of me.
Right.
Them kind of thoughts try to creep in. They try to creep in all the time. So I have to get my mind out of that and just focus on the task at hand that's directly in front of me. And that was like, kind of, if I went in and I knew he was going to leg kick, I was just hoping, I can get out of the way, 1, 2, grapple quickly try to get him to the ground quickly so we could avoid him hitting my ankle or him hitting my upper shin and stuff like that. So I wanted to avoid all that. And, thank God he tried to finish me on top, If he would have backed out and just told the ref to let me up, I don't know how great that would have went for me. So thank God he got excited and tried to finish because it allowed me to get him close, to pull that sweep, and then get on top.
Interesting. Okay. So you think that he made a big mistake by trying to finish you there?
I don't know if it's a mistake. When a guy's hurt, you should always try to finish him.
Yeah.
You can go back and say, I should have did this, I should have did that. I don't do that to myself in fights because when I feel like when you have in poker, if you have two aces, you go all in every time. And you can't look back if someone else catches a full house or something like that and say, oh, I should have did this. You play the hand you're dealt and you play it, the same time every way. So I don't know, the same way every time. So it was what it was. He went in, he tried to finish me, had me hurt. He knew he did. And I was able to adapt quickly and get the finish. So he fought a good fight. I fought a good fight. I adapted, and it was what it was.
It wasn't the longest fight, but you were back in a ring for this one. How do you feel about that, ring versus cage? You spent some time in a ring before, back in the day, but I believe it had been a minute. What do you feel like? Do you feel like there's a big difference for you?
I love fighting in the ring. It feels like pride, right?
Yeah.
Even when you watch it, the appearance of the show looks like pride and feels like pride a lot, and it's like a blast from the past. So, first of all, the canvas in the one championship cage is like an NFL turf. Like as a fighter, I've been fighting almost 20 years. When you step on this canvas, it feels like an NFL turf. Like this is the real deal. It's sticky. It adheres to your foot. You can move around well. It's just a really, really good canvas. And I think the difference between the cage and the ropes, the biggest difference I seen, because I was watching the event in the back and watching the fights before mine, is when you get taken down, you don't see a lot of guys get back up. It's almost like you better not get taken down because it's very difficult to cage climb, to use the cage to get back up. You got to have good sweeps. You got to have ways to get up and be in great shape to just continue to pop up, or good submissions because it's very difficult to. There's no cage to climb on. There's nothing to assist you to get back up. So that was the biggest difference. We just seen a lot of guys get taken down and not able to get back up.
Now, will the ankle be an issue? You're coming back relatively soon. October 13th is the final of the tournament. Will that be an issue?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, I don't feel anything right now. I'm fine.
Oh, okay. Wow. So just a freak thing.
No, it was the ability to not be able to rest it. It went out of me and I wasn't able to rest it. I had to keep pounding it. And the inflammation wasn't going back down. So it was painful to pop around on and move around on. So given the small amount of time I've been able to rest it, a week later and all the inflammation goes down, it's night and day. So it was just, I wasn't able to rest it. I just had to keep going on it. And that was the biggest difficulty.
How are you feeling now with 2 events under your belt over there? Do you feel like it's home? Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah, I'm getting my feet wet. The debut, like I said, I never had a great debut in any promotion.
Right.
There's a lot of expectation. I don't know. Maybe I just don't do well in that manner. I need to get comfortable, and I also like feeling like I owe people something. Like putting that on myself, like gaining. Like I feel like I got to gain people's respect versus just getting it. So I don't know. I think this tournament has very, very good fighters in it. Whether they're unknown or not, I've said this. I'm not changing my tune either. I've said this to you, Ariel, probably 15 years ago. The best fighters in the world are virtually unknown. They're in the jungles of Brazil. They're in the foothills of Dagestan. They're all over the world. So there's always a misconception between the most popular guys and the best fighters in the world, and neither one of them have anything to do with each other.
And it's a great point because, you go out there and you fight these guys, and I know for the casual fan, or maybe even the American fan, they're like, oh, we expect you to beat these guys. So like, it's almost like a lose-lose for you because they expect you. And then if things don't go your way, or if it's a tougher than expected fight, then like, oh, what happened to Eddie Alvarez? Why? Just because they don't know this guy. And so I'll ask you a question that I asked Demetrius Johnson last week. Do you have a lot of people come up to you and say, we miss you, Eddie? Where have you gone? Where can I see your fights? How come you're not fighting anymore? Just because they're unaware how to watch you or where you went?
I don't. I think people are used to the UFC, so they watch the UFC and they say, "I'll come back to the UFC."
Right.
But when you watch fighting and true real fight fans, if you're a fan of mine, I've been fighting 16 years since I was 19, so 16 years now. If you've been following me, I'm a fight fan, so I understand the sport. If guys like Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin, and these guys, I don't care where they fight. A lot of times I don't care who their opponent is. I just love watching them fight. So no matter what platform they go to, I don't care about the platform. I care about the fighter. I care about Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin, like certain fighters that I love watching fight. Justin Gaethje, like I'll go and watch these guys fight on any platform. I don't care who the promotion is, who the opponent is. I love watching them fight. So I expected the same out of my fans. I expected the same love that I have for the sport, that I am as a fan, that people would say, hey, I just like watching them fight, so I'll watch them fight anywhere.
Don't you feel, though, that MMA fans are a little different, that they're a little more loyal to the brand or the promotion than they are to the fighter, as opposed to in boxing, where they will follow the fighter no matter where they're fighting?
I do, but that'll end. That'll evolve.
You think so?
That'll evolve. As the power gets more into the fighter's hand, that'll evolve. And it's already happening. Power shifting. It's happening slowly, but it's happening. Power shifting, and the fighters are getting more and more power because they're understanding that the fighter's the asset. You can go on any platform. They have DAZN. There's so many platforms now. So just follow the fighter. Be a true fight fan. Follow the fighter. Watch him wherever he goes.
What makes you think that the power is shifting?
Just more and more high profile guys with bigger names are willing to fight out their contracts, willing to leave, willing to let promotions bid over them versus being so all about the brand. Mm-hmm. And you should be more about your brand than you are about the promotion's brand, right?
Right.
If you're a business, you should care about your own brand, not so much your promotion.
Right. And are you getting good sponsors out there?
Incredible. As soon as I left, we signed a major deal with Venom.
Okay.
And there's a lot more things in the making, but considering I was getting $5,000 from Reebok, I'd say we're doing quite well now.
All right, so the final is October 13th. You're fighting a man. How much you know about Saigid Arslanaliev?
Dangerous, incredible opponent. You guys, you're gonna want to watch this. Incredible opponent. I honestly have nothing bad to say about him. We have a lot of training partners.
Okay.
And I believe just like Zabit, he came from a boarding school where they teach fighting from a young age. So we have a lot of training partners. He has a lot of the same style that Zabit and a lot of the other guys do, where they have wushu backgrounds, also strong grappling backgrounds. So very dangerous opponent. You don't even get to see much tape on him because he ends a lot of fights in the first round. So I love, and I've done my best against opponents who are dangerous like this, where I feel I genuinely feel afraid a little bit. I do really well like that because when my back's against the wall and I feel a little bit afraid, I something kicks in where I compete at a level that I don't even know I'm capable of. So I'm looking forward to feeling that fear, feeling them emotions, and going out and fighting.
And that will be the 100th show for One Championship, October 13th. It's going down, and also Demetrius Johnson will be competing in the bantamweight Grand Prix final, I believe they call it over there.
And it's going to air prime time here in the United States. So this will be their first. I think TNT. It'll be airing prime time here in the United States.
Really? Live?
Live. I'm gonna probably fight in the morning in Asia.
Okay.
Which will be probably 9-10 o'clock Saturday night or one of the nights here in the United States. So you'll be able to see everything live.
Edward, breaking news for us on the program. I like that. Thank you, Eddie.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I don't even know if I was supposed to do that, but you're welcome.
Thank you.
I may be in trouble. I may be in trouble after this.
No, they won't. What are they gonna do? Kick you out of the tournament for God's sakes? I mean, you are the damn tournament, all right? Eddie, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ariel.
There he is, Eddie Alvarez, the Underground King himself, breaking a little news for us on this Monday afternoon. All right, now let's turn our attention back to the UFC heavyweight division. Earlier in the program, we spoke to Stipe Miocic about becoming champ again. I was thinking about Francis Ngannou on Saturday. Of course, they had that fight back at UFC 220. Since then, Ngannou undefeated, on a roll these days. Is he next for Stipe? Let's ask him. He joins us now from Cameroon. Francis, are you there?
I'm here, sir.
How are you? Where exactly are you right now?
I'm in Bati.
Wow.
In my village.
In your village. What are you doing there?
Yeah. Well, hanging out, enjoy life with family, staying, getting back to what I miss. Everything, family style, family life, what I used to do, and, eat some corn, eat some peanut because it's the season. Enjoy.
Okay. When you come home, by the way, to your village, are you a big deal? Like, are you a big superstar? Everyone comes up to you, bothers you, wants to talk to you, all that stuff? Do you feel that attention?
Yeah, but when I stay in the same spot for a long time, it slow down, and I can stay home and get quiet.
Did you have an opportunity to watch the Stipe DC fight on Saturday?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
What did you think?
Fight. What do I think? Wow. It was, honestly, I didn't expect this fight to be so intense. It was such a great fight. They hit each other very well. 3 punches, fight, great. Just like a few wrestling attempts, temptation, and all the fight, the stand-ups, right? And I think Stipe take over. Maybe he might be that body shot that he started to put on DC that affect DC, because DC was doing very well. Maybe he was winning. I would say he was winning the fight before then. But since the Stipe started with the body shot, that's when he got in trouble. But it was a great fight, by the way.
Were you hoping? Did you think there was a better chance for you to get a title shot if Stipe won or if DC won? Like, were you rooting for one guy over the other?
Not really, because I don't think my title shot right now should be hoping or strategically expecting. To be honest, I think I should fight. I think I should fight the winner of DC and Stipe, whoever wins the fight. But as is Stipe, I think it's a good thing for me to be to have my rematch at the same time and the title shot. So
the reason I asked that was because I know the first fight between you and Stipe was criticized, and so maybe you were afraid that they would not want to do the fight again because, they said that the first fight didn't really live up to the hype.
What What you said?
I said the reason I was asking that is because I was wondering if you were afraid if Stipe won, they would be worried about doing the rematch between you and Stipe because the first fight maybe didn't live up to the hype in the eyes of the UFC. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but we still have to do what has to be done. I think I'm the spot now that I deserve the title shot. Then I should have it.
And so, do you feel like you are going to get it? Are you confident you're going to get it? Have you been told that you're going to get it?
No, I haven't been told that. And being confident, I don't know. I don't know exactly what is happening to the UFC executive. I don't know what is their mindset. I've seen that they are not really clear on the answer of me deserving a title shot or me fighting next or not. And I don't know what is blocking that, what's making that being clear for them. But, it's still up to them at the end of the day. So that's what is it.
Is it annoying to you that they're being unclear, that you don't know, what they're thinking, what direction they're going to go in? I mean, your resume would speak for itself. There's no other contender at heavyweight. To me, it seems like there's three options for Stipe. There's you, there's maybe a trilogy with Daniel Cormier, or John Jones if he moves up. So it's not that difficult, but at heavyweight, you would be the next guy if it's not DC, right?
Yes, but then that's why I don't understand why it's not clear for them to say yes, it should be. That's why it's very frustrating situation right now.
Are you even open to taking another fight? Do you want to be active, or are you going to sit back and wait, sort of like what Stipe did over the past year?
Which fight should I take? In your opinion, I mean, honestly, that's what make that not only what I want, but that's what makes sense.
Right. No, you're 100% right. I mean, it would just be to make money. It would just be to get a payday.
But it would just be to make a payday.
Yeah, like there would be no reason to take another fight other than if you just want to get paid. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do anything else to prove to us you're the number one contender, but maybe if you just want to get paid, that's the only reason at this point. There's no one else that's even close to you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So let's see how it plays out. Let's see what's happened.
How would you feel if they did John Jones against Stipe? Would you be upset about that?
So because I think I'm the next in the line, it should be me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would be upset about that.
And right now you're in Cameroon. How long are you going to be there for?
I'm gonna be here for like 1 more week. Then I'll leave to Europe before I come to the US.
Okay.
I'll be in the US for like maybe 2 weeks from now.
We also got some exciting news about you last week. You're going to be a part of the next Fast and the Furious. Can you tell us what you'll be doing, what kind of role you'll have?
I don't have my role yet. I just had the script for the self-tape that I did 3 months ago, but they haven't give a clear information about my role, since they say it's kind of like how it happened, how he used to be. So it stayed confidential until the last moment.
Oh, okay. And is this your first movie?
Yes, it's my very first one, and not the least. And
I like it.
Exciting.
That's exciting. Have you ever seen Fast and the Furious?
Oh, I think there is nobody who haven't seen it.
Oh, you're talking to one.
Since the first one.
I've never seen it, Francis.
I don't believe you.
I've never seen.
I don't believe you.
I swear. Je te
Really?
jure, Francis.
Yeah. Maybe because you're busy checking about fight.
Yeah,
things.
I have no life.
checking about following information.
That's right.
So tracking information and stuff.
You suggest I see it? Which is your favorite? I think there's been 8, right? 8 or 9. Which is your favorite?
My favorite? I mean, the very first one was good. I mean, and very precise of the just like speed of car, like really fast and furious. But like by the 6th, he started to get like very actions, like big action involved in the movie.
Yes.
So I think the more he goes, the more he's best.
And what about coming to America? Any update on that? Are you going to be a part of that one?
I would like to. I mean, I have to check on Eddie Murphy first. Yes, he has to let some real African take the role for the coming to Africa.
That's right. Yes, coming to America. But coming to Africa would be a good film as well. And so I also wanted to know. Go ahead.
No, I said coming to Africa would be a good one, but it's not. I'm not fitting the role. I'm fitting the role of coming to America.
Right. That's right. Maybe I could be coming to Africa. We could do a reversal.
Yeah. Yes. You can do that. It fits you very well.
How is the foundation? I saw a photo on your Instagram where you were bringing a lot of stuff, a lot of supplies, the cage, the mat, all that stuff. How's the foundation going?
The foundation is pretty good, and like yesterday, we did some seminar to we call parents, parents, and to explain to them like really what's really going on, and we still have to educate them about the sport and everything, to tell parents why their kid left home and go to sport instead to go to farm with them. It's kind of like a very tough job. And also, I have found some volunteer. We named Sam Crow. So he's here now since 6 weeks, helping this kid for jiu-jitsu. And yes, things are putting himself together.
Okay. So finally, before I let you go, Francis, what is the message to Stipe and the UFC? What do you want them to know?
The message is that I'm here waiting for the rematch, for the title shot, and that is, it would be unfair to not give me that fight, because I have done what has to be done to deserve it, to prove that I can get the opportunity back, and I think it should be like that.
Do you think having that sit down with Dana White will help your cause? Finally sitting down with him, clearing the air?
I don't know. I don't know if that's something that can change something who could happen even. But, just do what is fair. That's all what I ask him for.
All right. We shall leave it at that. Thank you very much, Francis. Good luck getting the fight. I appreciate you doing this all the way from Cameroon.
Thank you, Ariel. Thank you.
Okay.
Thinking about me all the way to Canada, to
Always.
New York, or wherever you are.
Always, my friend.
Okay, guys.
We'll talk to you soon. There he is, Le Prédateur, Francis Ngannou, hoping to get that title shot, says he's frustrated, but he wants what's right. He wants it to be fair. He wants to be next for Stipe. Like I said, I think there's 3 options. There's the DC trilogy. And in case you're wondering, I have a good relationship with DC. I didn't want to have him on the show. I didn't want to ask him. I would have loved to have him on the show, but I didn't want to ask him today. I want to give him some time. We all know how hard he takes these losses, and that was a heartbreaking one for him, especially because he looked so good early on. So we'll talk to him when the time is right. But he's out there. He did not retire. I think he has nothing left to prove. I think his family and friends probably want him to retire. I think he has nothing left to prove. I think he's one of the greatest ever. This doesn't affect his legacy by any stretch. But he didn't retire, so he's still out there. John Jones is still out there without an opponent, and he wants to return soon. And I think a fight against Stipe would be big business. But then you also have the rematch between Francis and Stipe, which I think would be fascinating as well. So some interesting options for Stipe. He wants some time now to regroup, but we'll see how that all pans out. Before we get to our next guest, let me tell you about our good friends over at Ancestry.com as you take a look at Francis Ngannou's resume in case you forgot. And of course, he is coming off 3 straight finishes. Some pretty impressive ones, most recently against Junior Dos Santos. I've told you about the good people over at Ancestry DNA. You know, they do great things. You can find out about your family history. All you have to do is essentially sign up online. You get this little box. You spit in a tube. You send it back to them, and voila, they tell you about your whole family tree. They tell you about all kinds of crazy things about like where your family's from and their history and their even their employment and what they did and your roots and your lineage. I mean, I don't know how they get all this stuff, honestly, from just spitting in a tube. It's pretty remarkable. And so I urge you to try this out because they've been very loyal to us. They've been very good to us. And it's a really cool feature. It's not just something that you can live without. It's a really cool thing. They've combined DNA results with over 100 million family trees and billions of records to give you more insight into your genealogy and origins. Only Ancestry can tell such a rich story with unique features that give a more complete picture about a person, like events that shaped them, how they made a living, and what they excelled in. It's so easy to get started. This is what you have to do. For a limited time now through August 26th, go to Ancestry.com/MMA for an exclusive summer DNA kit for only $59. That's it. $59. That's Ancestry.com/MMA for $59. Ancestry.com/MMA. Great people there over at Ancestry.com. In a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by Holm, our next guest. She's coming off the loss to Amanda Nunes. I don't think she has talked to anyone since the loss. And just recently, we found out that she's going to be fighting Raquel Pennington in Melbourne, Australia. Back to Australia. Of course, that's where she defeated Ronda Rousey back at UFC 193 almost 4 years ago. She's going back almost 4 years to the day of her win over Ronda Rousey. These are some of the fights that have been officially announced for UFC 243. It's Whitaker Adesanya. We found out recently, Dana White confirming to the good fellas from Submission Radio that Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski will not be taking place on that card. So that would have been a nice jolt for the card. But these are some of the other fights. Tai Tuivasa on the card. How about Jake Matthews, local guy as well. Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington, big fight at 135. And of course, the main event, Robert Whitaker against Israel Adesanya. They're going back to the same stadium where Holly Holm knocked out Ronda Rousey. Back then it was known as Etihad Stadium. Now it's known as Marvel Stadium. And I'm told tickets went on sale last Wednesday. They had a press conference with Adesanya and Whitaker. I'm told tickets have been selling pretty well. I was told around 30,000 have been sold thus far. So that's a pretty damn good start for UFC 243. But they're hoping for approximately 60,000, which if in fact they can get to that number, that would be the most ever in UFC history. They've been at around 55,000 for UFC 129, also UFC 193. 60,000 would be the most. Not sure if it would be the highest gate ever. Depends on the ticket sales, depends on the ticket prices, and it depends on how many they sell, but it would certainly be in that discussion as well. So that's a big card. I will be out there. Last time I was in Melbourne was for that UFC 193 card, so we'll talk to Holly about that. And a little later on, we shall also talk to the great Kurt Angle. He's going to be joining us. We'll talk to him about Colby Covington using his entrance music. Henry Cejudo essentially stealing his gimmick. Maybe a little Kurt Angle King of the Ring talk from back in 2000. He's going to be on to promote the King of the Ring, which apparently is back and is starting tonight for World Wrestling Entertainment. Mike Perry's going to join us in a bit as well. Talk about the broken nose, how he's feeling. Stefan Struve still to come. How about Paulo Costa, Borrachinha? We'll talk about his big win over Yoel Romero. I'm curious to see how his face looked because his face was pretty beat up after that win over Yoel Romero this past Saturday at UFC 243. And he told us that he will be in Melbourne as well for that card to get a front front row look at Adesanya Whitaker. Another person who will be there is our next guest, Holly Holm. She's fighting on the card against Raquel Pennington. We have connected with her, so let us say hello to the preacher's daughter, Holly Holm, who's joining us from her familiar car these days. Holly, how are you?
I'm good. I'm always done training right when you guys call. So
This is
rather
fine.
than being a loud gym, might as well go in my car.
Listen, I'm not complaining by any stretch. It's a good connection. It's no problem. Nice light, so no problems whatsoever on this side. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. I was just talking about your return to Australia, but before we get to that, we haven't heard much from you as far as media is concerned since last month's fight against Amanda Nunes. How are you doing after the fight?
As health-wise, I'm fine. Heart hurts like hell, but I'm always looking forward. I want to go forward, be better, learn from my mistakes. I mean, let's not hesitate while we're in there. That was a big mistake. And learn and go forward. You know, I still want to work my way back to that spot and be able to fight for that title again. So that's what I'm going to do.
Why do you think you were hesitant in the fight?
It was just a split second of a hesitation, you know. There's a lot of things that we worked on, a lot of things that were really what we thought they would be. And I felt like, all right, I'm getting her timing. All right, this is going to be here. This is going to be there. And just rather than kind of going forward more like I should have, you know, little things, just let's not throw a kick and stand on one leg and just halfway hold it for a second. Let's not do that again.
Did you feel like the early portion of the fight was actually going well for you? Was going well? Like, were you liking the way things were progressing?
I feel like I was really feeling her timing, and I just feel like I didn't let enough go soon enough, you know. But a lot of the things that we were kind of maybe looking for were there. I just wasn't doing. I wasn't really capitalizing soon enough. You know, I let her become offensive and be first too. And you know, every fight, everything is clear hindsight. So there's nothing I can do about it now, but just learn from it and move forward. And you know, it was one round, and any punch can be the last one, any kick can be the last moment of a fight. So really, I just want to keep going forward. I don't feel like, you know, it's not like I feel like the fight was like bag work. Like she was just, you know, making work of me. It's just kind of, we're both kind of feeling each other out. And then one kick there. That's all she wrote.
Unfortunately, first time in your MMA career that you were knocked out. It's been a long time in your fighting career in general, almost a decade since you experienced something like that. And so I'm just wondering, you mentioned heartbroken. That's what stuck with me. In the aftermath, back in the locker room and when you went back home, how are you feeling about it, going through that again?
I guess it's just different. You know, the last knockout they're all horrible. I don't ever want that. Any loss, I don't care how it is terrible. I feel like my last one was definitely, you know, I had headaches and I was throwing up because I had a concussion. And, you know, this fight, I didn't feel any of that. I didn't have any kind of physical side effects from it. I actually felt fine. But that's why I say my heart, that's what aches, you know. It's like, just to have that loss, it sucks. I hate losing. And that's really the only thing that hurts. You know, my body's fine. I'm physically fine. Obviously, I took some time off of sparring just because I don't want to be dumb about it. I want to be smart. I don't want to just go in and be sparring right away. But I've been training since I got back. And as far as conditioning and running and things like that, I mean, yeah, I'm back to sparring now, but there's always smart ways to go about things. But I just always am ready to kind of get back in there and just get back to work.
You didn't want to take some time off after suffering a blow like that?
Off my brain, yeah, to be smart, I did. I didn't spar.
Okay.
But as far as like work, like running, strength training, that was fine. I was ready to go right away. I mean, I took a 1 week off and went to Mexico. We had a trip planned for one of my friends, 40th birthday. So that was one thing that I had already planned, months in advance before I even knew about the fight. So I was basically down there for just 1 week, and then I just got right back into running, and it's weird for me to not work out. It just doesn't feel right. What's my purpose of the day? What am I really doing?
Have you been able to watch the fight?
I watched it.
Okay. What's
I
that
watched
like?
it with my coaches. Honestly, it's I always think that, certain things in my head, how the fight went, and then I watch a film and I see how it really went. And everything that happened in the fight, I remember happening in the fight, except for the kick. That's the only thing I remember. But I feel like the sooner you face it, the sooner you're going to make changes and make it better and go forward, I don't want to pretend like it didn't happen, because I would be living in a dream world. I live in a very real world. And the only way to get better is to look at it, learn from it, and move forward. I could sit here and lie to myself the whole time, but I'd rather just face it, watch it, learn, and go forward.
Did you want to return so quickly, or did they come to you?
I think I don't know who said what first, but I said I want to fight before the end of the year.
Okay.
And they came back and said, "How about Australia?" I said, "Let's do it." There was really no kind of fight one way or the other. I think it was just like a agreement thing from the get-go. I would love to fight before the end of the year, and they said, "How's Australia?" I said, "Okay, I'm not going to be picky. Let's do it." I know that's a quick turnaround, but I'm ready. Let's just train and go forward.
My understanding was that perhaps the initial opponent was Ngannou, and then things didn't work out there scheduling wise, and now they ended up with Raquel Pennington. Which fight did you prefer?
Whichever one was in front of me, that's the one I prefer, because that's the one I just need to be ready for. And when they first did Kat Zingano, I was excited for it. I always felt like her and I would meet at some point. And so it actually, like, in my mind, I was like, oh, well, this is the time we're going to meet. Yeah, Kat Zingano, great, let's do that. Kat Zingano, Australia, October, let's do it. And then when I think she had other things going on, couldn't take the fight. So from what I understand,
Yes.
I don't really know. And so then I thought, well, gosh, I wonder if they'll really look for someone else for October, or if it's going to be a little bit later than that. And then they came back and said Raquel Pennington. I said, great. And this is my first rematch in MMA. I had a lot of rematches in boxing. This is my first rematch in MMA. So it's kind of different, a different feel, and I'm excited for it.
And then, I mean, I know it has nothing to do with this, but Kat's released from the UFC. Did you see that? How crazy.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows if maybe they've asked her a couple times, and maybe, I don't know. I don't know the story.
Yeah, it is a crazy story. Hopefully one of these days.
Yeah, and so before I even say anything, I'm just going to say I don't know, because I don't.
Okay, fair enough. And of course, the first thing that I thought of when this fight was announced was back in Australia, same building where you shocked the world. The greatest moment of your career, arguably one of the greatest moments in the history of the sport, a moment that will be talked about forever. There's the scene right there. How do you feel about going back to the exact same place? Different name for the stadium, but it's the exact same building where you beat Ronda Rousey. How do you feel about that? Because then it will just be, I know you're trying to move away from talking about this fight all the time, but now it's just going to bring it up once again.
I definitely don't. Yeah, I don't want anything sour to be related with that either. I don't want to go back there and make a bad memory. Let's go back there and make it another great one.
Okay. But you're happy to go back?
I am. I'm fine going back there. The travel is what makes it hot. Like, it's long on an airplane. It's just a long travel. But Australia doesn't feel like, I don't know, like I'm looking forward to going. Australia doesn't feel like foreign to me, I guess. I mean, I've been there a few times and I have friends there. You know, I'd gone there to visit before I even had the fight, and I'm looking forward to going back.
There's a great story, as you mentioned, it's a rematch, but not only is it a rematch, it's a rematch of your first fight in the UFC. And you know there was so
Mhm.
much hype going into that fight, and you were fighting in the co-main event spot under Rousey and Ngannou, and it was like the introduction on this big stage. And now here you have to
Yeah.
get by Raquel again to get back on track. I mean, there's some nice
Yep.
synergy there. It's somewhat symbolic,
Yep.
right?
You know, I feel like that's exactly what it was. You know, when I fought her, we were both in that spot that it's like whoever wins going to kind of like jump to that next challenge, jump to the next, you know, that next step to get to the belt. And I feel like we're both there. I mean, the only difference is this time we both fought for the belt and we're both trying to get back to it, you know? So it's kind of the same spot, you know, we're both kind of I feel like after this is going to be that next step to get back to the top. And so I don't, you know, I think that the fight will be very different. She's learned a lot. I've learned a lot. I was very green when I fought her. I really didn't have much grappling, wrestling, like I really didn't have like a lot of MMA experience under my belt, you know. So I don't even know how many fights I had, maybe like 6, something like that before I got in the UFC. And they were, I mean, my first 3 were basically like, let's work on your get-ups. And that was pretty much it, you know. And, you know, that's kind of been a game that's been really evolving for me. And I'm not saying that that's what I'm looking for putting the, you know, the fight into. I feel like it's just, I'm a completely different fighter than I was when I fought her the first time, regardless of how the fight's going to go. I just feel like I'm a completely different fighter than I was. And like I said, she's improved as well. And I know she's going to be coming with her best. And this is probably one of those times where she wants to come back and, you know, avenge her loss. And I'm there to stop that.
Do you remember what you were like in the first fight after the knockout loss in 2011 in boxing? And are you worried at all about being, sometimes you see someone in the first fight after a knockout a little gun shy. They aren't pulling the trigger or maybe aren't as aggressive. Are you worried about that?
No, because this time I feel like this knockout wasn't. I mean, I'll never say a knockout's not bad because it is bad. But this one was definitely different. I was definitely more worried to get hit after my knockout, you know, back then. Because that one was one of those, you wake up in the morning, sit up on your bed for a minute because you're going to be dizzy, and then you stand up for a minute, and then you'll be a little dizzy, then you kind of get your walk. Like, that knockout was bad. Not that I really publicly, so long ago, it's easier for me to talk about it now. But it was a bad concussion. It was a bad knockout. This one, I never felt any kind of physical, problem. So, and then I was kind of like, I wonder how I'm going to feel like my first day back sparring. I went to spar. I felt fine. If a punch happens in a fight, it can happen. Going into my fight with Nunez, I hadn't been knocked out for however many years, and then it happened. So I'm not saying that a knockout can't happen in a fight, but I'll tell you what will help you get knocked out is to be worried about it and hesitant about it and not fight well. That will get you knocked out, and that's why I'm not going to let myself get there. I'm going there with every intention to go in there 100%. Just let's go. Not worry about it.
Great answer, and I agree with that take for whatever it's worth. I'm just curious. Also done is Amanda versus Jermaine Durandamy. You fought both of them. Who do you like in that fight?
I'm curious to watch this fight. I think that a few things. I think that if you were to ask how this fight was going to go, even 2 years ago, I think everybody would say, "Oh, Amanda Nunez is going to win." And I think that a lot of people, yes, they're going to put their money on Amanda Nunez. But I feel like also Jermaine has, I think, gotten a little bit maybe. I think a lot of us were wondering where is Jermaine? After I had fought her, she kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then came back, but she's had great performances. You know, she's coming off of a, I think, 16-second knockout. She fought Raquel, actually. She's got, you know, she's, I think what makes, I always say styles make different fights. Nunez and her are tall, long arms, long reach. So it's going to be a different game than a lot of the other fights are. They're used to being longer, you know, more rangy fighter, and now they're facing each other. So I think that they're both coming with some confidence. I think Amanda's coming with a little more confidence. I mean, she's been on a very big winning streak. You know, fighting a lot of the girls that have been right at the top and coming with wins. You know, I mean, she's had stoppages and everything, kind of one after another. So I think she's coming in, you know, like, yeah, I've got what it takes. And so it's, you know, if you're going to put your money on it, I think it's people will be putting their money on Nunez. But that's not to say that you count Jermaine out. You can't count Jermaine out. She's got straight punches. She hits pretty hard, and she uses her range well. I think that fight, if one of them doesn't, you know, wind up landing the hard shot, I'm curious how the scrambles will go. I think that's probably, I think Nunez probably, she's got maybe the upper hand on that, but we haven't seen Jermaine's ground scrambles in a while either. You never know what she's been learning.
That will be December 14th. Holly Holm returns October 5th in Australia. Raquel Pennington rematch. Big fight for her. I appreciate you doing this, Holly. All the best to you. Good luck in training, and we'll see you out there.
Thank you. See you there.
All right. There she is. Holly Holm returns to action in a little less than 2 months' time on that big UFC 243 card. All right. Looking forward to this next guest. We saw him in action 2 weekends ago in Uruguay. Tremendous fight against Vicente Luque, one of the best of the year. I personally thought he won the fight. It was a close fight, not a robbery, but of course, everyone was talking afterwards about his nose. Let's see how Mike Perry is feeling less than 2 weeks later. Look at Mike, looking tremendous. Mike, you look great, my man.
Thanks. What's up, bro? How you doing, Ariel?
I'm doing great. How are you feeling?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm just chilling. I guess this is where I'll be spending my time, either in bed or playing video games downstairs, eating. I've been eating good. I think I'm getting pretty heavy. You know, chilling. I got drunk once or twice.
Well, you look good. I think that was one of those times was on Saturday night, right?
Yeah, when I was tweeting, watching the fight.
Yes, but it was very entertaining. Well done. How is the nose feeling?
I don't know. It's all right, but like, I guess I shouldn't go to the gym and start taking punches. I just shouldn't. I don't want anybody, you know, I can't really grapple. I don't know. I'm gonna go to the gym like Rip Hamilton though. I got an appointment tomorrow, and I'm gonna ask the doctor for like a clear face mask that
Yes.
they wear in the NBA, and I'm gonna go to practice. And who knows? Maybe I'll put a headgear on over it or something. I don't know. But I'm gonna try and get back to practice soon. I feel like there's a lot in my head right now that I could be learning, and while it's fresh, I don't know. It's something about after a fight, everything like just. I went to the gym the other day and I was watching the fighters spar, and it's like I could see everything, all these different ways, but I still can't. I can't judge a fight. Apparently, decisions are all over the place. I guess when fights are close, a lot of people can think a lot of different ways about the fight, and you know who wins and who doesn't. So that's the game.
Indeed. That was a great fight. I'm wondering, have you watched it?
My fight, yes.
Yes.
I have.
And you think you won, right?
Yeah, but I get it. You know, I for 13 and a half minutes, I was piecing him up, and he was staying tough in a tight guard, and you know, my shots were getting through sometimes, but he was able to take them well, and he just kind of didn't do as much as I did. Like I did a lot, and I could have ran a lot more. I could have I could have gotten out of conflict a lot more. And like, he never brought the conflict to me. He never went first. And I went first a lot and tried to finish last a lot. Sometimes he would touch me. Maybe once on the way in, I'd use it to close the gap, hit him 3, 4 times, and then he'd touch me one more time on the way out. And, a lot of ineffectiveness. And then the fucking knee just looked like a little fairy. Like what the fuck, bro? It didn't look like anything. And my nose just got hit at the right angle. It went off, and I held on to it, got the takedown. I guess I see a bad habit there when people throw with their lower body. I kind of tuck my chin so they can't knock me out. My head goes with my body. If my neck snaps, that's what knocks people out. So I guess I tuck, and I got to work on that. And I got to work on finishing the takedown some more, or getting good takedowns, like slamming them on their head, and then working for ground and pound position, because that's the sport of MMA. I see myself evolve quite a bit, but I evolved more MMA, right? So I kind of lost some power on my striking, I felt like. Or Luke, I mean, not to take away from Luke. He's just was tough as hell and big, and he could take my shots in a tight guard. He tucked his chin a lot too. So, maybe I needed to throw more wet noodles like Kobe or something, I guess.
When he hit you with that knee, do you remember what it felt like? Like, do you remember your nose breaking and what that felt like?
Yeah, it didn't really feel like anything at that moment. I knew he caused some damage. I knew that, and I caught the leg, and I was like, damn, like, you don't really feel it then. It's later. And then it ain't even really later. Later, I felt the pain from them, whatever they did in the back, sticking metal rods up my nose and cranking my face around, trying to get my nose back in place. I felt that later. That gave me headaches. And I was like, oh my God. I thought, the recent deaths in boxing, I was like, damn, is my brain bleeding? I was like, am I going to die? You know what I mean? And those real thoughts. I was talking with my boy, Alex the Spartan. We were both talking about that. He's had his jaw broke before, and he was like, I thought I was going to die in the hospital. And
Yeah.
I was in the hospital. They couldn't even speak English. They was just telling me all this stuff in Spanish about what they were going to do. Danielle was there. It was unbelievable. She could understand the Spanish so well. She had 4 doctors talking to her in Spanish.
Wow.
She would catch little words out, but I already figured I knew what they were going to do. But when you think surgery, you think, oh man, are they about to cut my face open? Are they about to piece this back together like operation? No, it's not. I believe they just shoved some gauze up my nose and straightened it out, and here I am now.
There you are. How many times have you been shown that photo of you? Looked at that photo of you? Is it startling?
It's there. No, I mean,
This one.
is it what? It's startling. That one.
Yeah.
No, man, I just, I was pissed. I fight 13 and a half minutes, great. And what did I do? I felt like maybe I didn't do anything. I didn't get lazy at the end. I feel like maybe I did get lazy, or it was just a bad habit. Got me caught, and it wasn't a hard shot. It was just a shot that got in, and it did that to my nose. It was like it was otherworldly. It was like there were other parts being played, and maybe that's just how I like to think of it. It's like I can't make an excuse for it, and I can't find an excuse for it, and there is no excuse anyways. It's just back to the drawing board like it always is, and like, why the hell didn't I win this one? I thought I was gonna win, but no matter how it felt, I was like, man, I beat this dude up, and I stuck and moved, and I felt like I was almost Floyd out there, Floyd Mayweather, and then Floyd Mayweather's got the toughness to take a shot. So I showed that too, and they didn't give me the takedown. None of that matters. Dana called me and was like, it's not about what the judges think. Sometimes it's more so the whole world commenting and saying that they thought that I won the fight.
Right.
But at the same time, with my head feeling like that after they banged my nose around, I was like, man, I don't really feel like a winner, right? So I guess I can see why they give it to that guy. That guy was taking pictures after the fight. Would I have felt in less pain had they said I was the winner? Would I have got all this attention that I'm getting if they said that I was the winner? Or would it have gone the other way? Like, oh, they stole it from Luke. It's more so people saying maybe draw or Mike won. And, but there's a few people that are like, they gave it to him because the nose, because the damage. And there's been fights like this all through history. So, I just got to do even better. I can't make no excuses.
What about that guillotine? That was incredible just to watch, like all the blood pouring out. How difficult was it to survive that? And did the blood help you survive it?
No, the blood didn't help me survive it. The blood made the guillotine tighter. The guillotine wasn't tight because, like, when he held onto my head, I knew my face was hurt, right? So I stayed in the guillotine because I was in there and I was like, he can't hit my face if he's holding onto my head. So I just tightened down on my neck and was like, he's never going to choke me. But then I had to spit a bunch of blood out so I could breathe in. I went to breathe in and was drinking blood, so I spit it out first. That's why there was so much, right? It was either going down my throat or out my mouth. I couldn't breathe in my nose, so I just tried to calm down for a second, control my heart rate, spit the blood out, get some sips of air in, and then when I went to fight the hands, I didn't want to just push my face up against him because I was like, my nose hurts. I don't want to hurt my nose on his body, his arms, or anything like that. So I just waited for a good time to pull it out clean, land a couple shots on top, nothing too crazy. I should have, but there was only seconds left. I knew the bell was about to ring. I didn't see a point. And then, I hear things like people judge a fight based on how they think the future might go. Oh, if there was a fourth round. It wasn't a fourth round fight.
Right.
It wasn't. It was a 3-round fight. You can't judge on the future. You don't know what's gonna happen. I could come out and I could land that jump front switch kick that I was throwing. I threw it twice in the fight, and I was this close to splitting his face open the way he did mine. He got his knee in there a little bit further, and it reached my nose and pushed it to the side. Who knows? I come out first 4 seconds of the fourth round. If you want to guess, if you want to have ideas about how the future might go, if it's not positive in my direction, you fucking hating. What's the point of taking the shot? As they try to make it sound like it was better if I got knocked out. Fuck out of here.
Right. Well, by the way, what's wrong with your eye? Is there blood in it?
What's wrong with your nose, Ariel? There's nothing wrong with my eye.
Okay.
It's just what happens when you take a couple shots,
Okay. Just curious.
It's okay, bro. Don't get scared,
No,
man.
no. I didn't want to offend. One thing that you did mention that I think created a lot of headlines. You talked about your finances afterwards. How you you got this broken nose, but you don't have any money. Were you being serious about that?
No, I got money, but it's never enough.
Sure.
I can't go buy a $12 million yacht right now, and I would like to go smoke a blunt on a yacht with a party with my friends. But I can't do that right now. Maybe I could rent a pontoon boat and ride around one of the Florida rivers, but it ain't a yacht.
Right.
The music is just as good on a pontoon as it is on a yacht. Fuck it. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go ride a pontoon boat. I'm going to go play some video games downstairs. I was saying that on my IG earlier. I need, oh my God, bro. Before the fight, I wanted to take a break so bad. I don't know if that's just weight cut. And, I don't really like leaving home nowadays. Because home is like my best life. That's where I live my best life at. I just relax. I chill on the couch. I play video games, watch movies, talk shit to my girl. And and eat food, a lot of food, and drink whatever I want to drink, smoke whenever I want to smoke. But then when it's fight time, I got all these sacrifices that I'm making, and I'm like, man, I don't want to do this shit no more. But then as soon as I get to eat again, I'm like, damn, UFC coming to Tampa in a month or two. If they come into South Florida and they give me the opportunity to make another $100,000, I should go ahead and jump on that. Obviously, that was the thought the day before my nose got rearranged.
Right.
But I was talking to Sean Shelby. He was like, "Oh, I'll keep a spot open for you." Well, now there's maybe I get more. What I wanted was I want to go to the fight and watch the show. I want somebody to put on a show for me. Santiago Ponzinibbio and Jorge Masvidal was there. Cage side, get to watch a good fight last night, or not? Last night too. The other night too, probably. I think with Borchina and Yoel. So I just want to go be a fan for a second. And it's weird how life is. Like, I need to sit down right now. And because of that, I'm like acting like, oh, I want to get up and go work. But as soon as I got to go up and go to the gym, I'm like, man, I don't want to do this.
Well, I saw in your tweets you were talking about Nate Diaz. Is that like a dream fight for you to fight him one day?
Sure, man. Man, he's a respectful martial artist, and he respects the game. And you get coming into the game, you kind of lose sight. Well, maybe I did. I can't speak for everybody, and I know I see a few guys did, as they come in and they don't get no respect, and they're like, "Well, this is a game. I gotta take my respect," and they're trying to let people know. I'm saying things like the things I used to say, or like dodging the opponent's handshake, like thought you had a friend. Boy, we here to fight. You know what I mean? And that's a good mindset to keep. But at the same time, when you get to the top and you got a guy like Luque Vicente who can take your shots and stand there, and he keeps trying. He keeps trying no matter how much I hit him. And I try to point away 15 minutes clean. And he just kept trying, and he pushed a little further at the end, and he got his shot to land, and it did the damage he was looking for. I couldn't say he could do that again 9 out of 10 times. It's gonna be a different result. So it's just the sport, and I like what you said earlier. You text me. You was like, I'm technically above wins and losses right now in the sport, meaning people just want to watch me fight, but damn it, I'm trying to win.
I know.
I
That's
don't
just
know
a
how.
compliment to
I just got to get back to work.
that's just
the
a
only
compliment
answer
to
I ever have.
your place in the sport. I know you're trying to win. I know you're not trying to lose fights. I was just trying to give you a compliment. There are some fighters I think that will always be beloved despite wins and losses as long as they keep giving the effort. I think you're one. I think Nate Diaz is one. I think Pettis is one. I think Cerrone is one. Like there's just some guys, they're on the card, it's going to be fun. And I feel like you've reached that status. So that's all I was saying. In a perfect world though, like I know you were talking about 6 weeks and all that, you need to take some time off, right? Like 6 months is probably,
Is too much.
too much. Okay.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Whoever I talked to on the phone, it was my manager, and I told him, because I'm in the hospital, I'm like, oh my God, my headache is ridiculous right now. Is this from punches? And I wasn't thinking, no, it's because they just banged around in my face. They probably had hammers, and they were smacking my face with hammer and metal chisel to put my nose back in place. I feel that when I wake up. For 2 days, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta be off for 6 months. No, bones heal and harden in 6 weeks, and that's like, I don't know, physical therapy time. So if I'm gonna do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, try to diet, maintain a diet, but so then I can have cheat days when I want, and they're very enjoyable when you've been, trying to stay healthy and not get too fat, not get out of shape. Try to stay ready to get ready, and as soon because this is my life, bro. This is what I do. If I'm my face was the last thing that I really loved on this fucking planet. And that motherfucker broke my nose, and I thought I was gonna look different. I do look a little different, right? But it is what it is. And if this is the life that I sat down with God and chose between me and Him, then this is the life that I chose, and I gotta deal with bad shit like my nose breaking, and I'm gonna deal with it the best way I can by staying in the game, maintaining and training and getting better every day that I can, and trying to get back and get more money in the ring. I'm enjoying the time in the ring so much these days. I thought I was about smooth 15 minutes, just beat him up for 15, bro. And then the next minute and a half changed. But, like, still, I thought I won the fight because 13 and a half minutes of just outpointing him, out moving him. I know people wanted me to stand in the middle and slug it out with him, but the old me might have done that. And, maybe it goes different, but I don't think so. I just thought that, the dancing and the moving, I'm just going to stick with that. I'm going to keep evolving. I keep saying the same shit over and over again. I guess it's the subject for me right now is like how that bad shit went for me and how I got to come back from it. If I'm the comeback kid.
You will be back.
Baby, I ain't no damn journeyman.
I know.
I ain't no damn. And even if shit, I can't be a journeyman. And you talk about me and Cowboy Cerrone and Nate Diaz in the same sentences and shit, the type of fighters that I love to watch and always going to bring in and give their all and put everything into it. And I just got here. Those guys have been here for 15 years. You talking about me with them. That was the goal at hand. So I just got to stay here now. And I'm going to have my time. There's no way I don't. I just keep getting better. I'm going to be like one of these coaches that be like my coach Julian, who be holding me down. Speaking of coaching my team, shout out my boy Philly Fresh fighting on Dana White Contender Series tomorrow. He's my barber. I need a edge up.
All right, Mike. Well, you're the man. I love the fire. I love the fire. It's so good to see you back in good spirits. You will be back. I appreciate you doing this, Mike. Get well soon, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks for giving me a platform, man.
You're the man, Mike. We love you. There he is, the one and only Mike Perry joining us. All right. Now let's go to our next guest. Apologize for keeping him waiting, but Mike Perry talks a lot. The one and only, the legend, the former Olympic gold medalist, 1996. He won it with a broken freaking neck. My old pal, Kurt Angle, on the show. Wow, what a great honor this is. Kurt, how are you?
Great, Ariel. It's great to talk to you again. You've done really well for yourself, and I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you, Kurt. I appreciate that greatly. You had faith in me long before many did, so I really appreciate that. It's nice to talk to you after all these years. We have a lot to talk about, but first, you're very visible in the world of MMA. I don't know if you know this, but your impression is being felt all over the place. I have to ask first and foremost, arguably the most hated person in this sport, Colby Covington, used your entrance song a couple of weeks ago to walk out. How did you feel about that?
Well, before he did it, he had a friend of his contact me, Bobby Lashley, and Bobby called me and he said, "Hey, there's this fighter named Colby Covington." I said, "I know he is." He said, "Well, he wants to use your entrance music to come out because, come out to his fight, and he wanted to do it because he wanted the fans to chant 'You suck.'" So I said, "It's all his. He can have it, man. If he wants to do it, God bless him. That's great."
He is very polarizing. I'm sure you know a little bit about the gimmick that he's doing these days. How do you feel about that? Like I've said that, Vince probably wishes he could do something like this. He gets nuclear heat. He showed up to the event on Saturday, and the whole place started booing him. How do you feel about him using something like that in the world of mixed martial arts, in the fight game?
I think it's extraordinary. I think that he has something that nobody else has, and he understands. He gets the entertainment factor of it. Obviously, we're talking about a real sport. I think the baddest sport on the planet. But you have to add a little bit of entertainment to it. And he has that mind for it, just like Conor McGregor.
Are you still watching MMA these days as much as you were when we were talking way back when?
Not as much, but I keep tabs. I got my favorites, Cormier, Suhedo. Henry Cejudo. I love Nate Diaz. I think he's an awesome individual. Just really exciting to watch, and he's one of the toughest kids I've ever seen in that octagon. So, ironically, Cormier took my spot in the Olympics after I left, and he ended up wrestling in my weight class for 2 Olympics. So I was always following him, and he's done an incredible job the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about Henry Cejudo because it does feel like he's kind of taken your gimmick as well. You know, he walks around with the medal and he tries to be like the Olympic hero, the American hero, but he gets everyone to boo him these days and call him cringy and all that. Have you seen what he's doing, and do you see parallels between what he's doing and what you did when you first started to get over around 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think I don't think he did it because of me. Whether he did or not, I really don't know. But you're right. You know, he gets it, and it gets a reaction, and that's what's most important. You know, the last thing you want fans to do is not say anything. You either want them to cheer for you, or you want them to boo you, because they care about you one way or the other. But if you walk out there and you hear crickets, you're not doing something. You're doing something wrong, or you're not doing something right. So I think Henry, he gets it too, and he's using the gimmick, and I love it.
You're on today to help us promote the King of the Ring, which starts tonight. And I have to be honest, I thought the King of the Ring was dead, but it has been revitalized, and it kicks off tonight on USA Network beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern. Is it the same format? Like, I remember when you won it, Kurt, around 19 or so years ago. Is it the same kind of format, or have they changed it?
It was, I think, an 8-man format back then. Now it's 16.
Wow.
But, you know, keep in mind, the all 8 men were at the pay-per-view. You had to wrestle 3 times at King of the Ring if you wanted. Now they're doing tournament format during Raw and SmackDown leading up to the pay-per-view, and I think the finals will be at the pay-per-view. So I wrestled 2 years in a row where I wrestled 3 matches in one pay-per-view because of King of the Ring. So it was really, really tough back then, but they made it a little easier, at least where you're not wrestling every match all in one night.
I was very happy that I had the opportunity to be at your retirement match back in April. I don't know if you know that, but I was lucky enough to be at WrestleMania, and it was really cool to see. And I'm wondering, are you officially done? Or, you know, in combat sports and pro wrestling, people say they're done a million times and they come back. Are you 100% done? Will you never wrestle again?
You know what? I don't plan on it. I wish I could, but I'm 50 years old. Well, I'll give you a quick story. When I came back to WWE, I was really in great shape. Unfortunately, the WWE wanted me to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. That's what Vince McMahon wanted. So I did that first, and I told Vince I wasn't retired yet. And then he gave me the GM job, and I said, Vince, I still want to wrestle. He said, we'll get to it. Well, because I sat out for so long, and especially in professional wrestling, I could even say in UFC and MMA, if you sit out too long, your body gets arthritic. You lose that, that when you're inactive, especially when you get older, you start getting a lot more arthritis, soreness. And by the time I was wrestling consistently, I couldn't do it anymore. So basically, sitting out really affected me. And unfortunately, I didn't go that long.
And so now, how are you feeling? How would you describe your health these days?
Well, I'm meeting with a doctor next month. I'm gonna have stem cell therapy shots put in my knees and my neck to help me. A lot of guys have been doing it lately. It's not a cheap surgery or cheap procedure, but it's very effective. So I know BioAccelerator. They're actually talking to a lot of pro wrestlers, a lot of MMA fighters. I think Mark Coleman's going to go down. It's actually in Colombia, and this company is really reputable. So I'm excited about doing it, and hopefully it'll work for me.
Yeah, actually, a colleague of ours here at ESPN, Gilbert Melendez, a longtime fighter, just did that and was raving about the experience down in Colombia. So maybe a little endorsement there for them. Would you do anything differently, Kurt? Like, thinking back on your career, you took a lot of risk. You put your body through a lot of pain. In hindsight, do you wish you did things differently?
Yeah, I wish I would have done more maintenance, stretching, yoga, just taking care of my body. I mean, I literally, when I was going on all pistons, I wouldn't even warm up before I went out there. I just, do a couple of, twists with my, my arms back and forth and go out there and wrestle. And it had a long-term effect on me. You got to take care of your body, especially when you're abusing it the way I did. So I was okay till I turned about 45, and then it started going downhill right away.
How do you feel about the state of the business these days? It seems like it's very hot. It seems like there's a lot of options for the guys, different promotions doing things overseas, here in America. How do you feel about the state of the business right now?
I think it's as good as it's ever been as far as wrestlers being able to get work. There are only so many slots in WWE, but they even have quite a following with their NXT and their Raw and SmackDown brands. They're even going global, where there are going to be NXT camps in each continent. So they're going to need a lot more wrestlers, but the independents are doing really well. This new company, AEW, New Japan. So there are a lot of options, and that's really good for the wrestlers. But, the number one company, and it will always be number one, is WWE.
Yeah. And what about your friend Brock Lesnar? He was flirting with a return. Do you think we'll ever see him fight again, or do you think he's officially done?
I hope he does return. I know he said that he's retired, but I think the one fight he wants, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but he wants to go up against John Jones.
Yeah.
I think that would be an extraordinary fight. They're very different. Their sizes are extremely the opposite, but Brock's a freak. He might not win all his fights. He might not be the most polished fighter, but he is an incredible athlete. I mean, he could do anything he wanted. If he wanted to play football or pro baseball, he can adapt to anything. Brock is an incredible athlete, and wrestling him in the ring, I knew how great of an athlete he truly is. This kid could play basketball. He's unbelievable.
What did you think of how Ronda did?
I was so proud of Ronda. I got the opportunity to train her, especially for WrestleMania, and she used to make fun of me because of my Graps gloves. I'm endorsing a company called Graps, which they do gloves so you don't have to tape your fingers. And they're doing really well, and Ronda would pick on me about it. But she taped her fingers, I put on my Graps, and then I got her to put them on, and she actually liked them. But Ronda she made the transition as quickly as I did. And I have to give her a lot of credit for that, because I never thought she was going to be able to do it. A lot of these athletes want to step into the ring. They want to, go at the level of Kurt Angle or The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they find out that they just can't do it. Ronda knew how to do everything. She knew how to bump properly. She could sell well. She just got it. She was one female that stepped in and got it right away, and it blew me away. She might have learned quicker than I did.
And last thing for you, Kurt, I'm wondering if you saw the highlights of Cain Velasquez's pro wrestling debut, Lucha Libre debut. Did you see him? I was blown away by how agile he was. Do you think he has a future?
I do think he does have a future. He's another guy that gets it, and he's just really athletic. The things he can do, it's really impressive, and I think that he could step into the square circle and do extremely well. I do want to plug one thing. I did a movie last year called Chasing Molly. It's a really funny movie. If anybody wants to go check it out at iTunes and Amazon Prime, that would be great. I got to play, ironically, a drug kingpin, and had a lot of fun doing it. Very funny movie.
All right. I will check that out. Yeah, one of the highlights of my young career back in the day was writing a little skit for you back in Orlando, Kurt.
I remember.
You remember that?
Man, you've come a long way, brother.
We have come a long way. Thank you so much for doing this, Kurt, and I really appreciate it, and good luck with everything you're doing, and I hope to talk to you and see you again very soon.
Okay, take care, Ariel.
All right, there he is, Kurt Angle. Again, the WWE 2019 King of the Ring tournament kicks off tonight on Raw at 8 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. Raw and SmackDown will feature tournament matches weekly tonight through September 10th, with the finals at Clash of Champions on Sunday, September 15th. I don't know if I've shared this story, but in my younger days, I met Kurt Angle because I was working for Spike TV, and we had an opportunity to do some stuff for TNA. He was wrestling for TNA. I wrote a skit for for SpikeTV.com, and we did it at the Universal lot. And I really got to know Kurt very well. And I actually drove him from the hotel to the lot. We spent a lot of time together. He told me that I reminded him of Brian Gewirtz, who's a longtime WWE writer. Now I think he works for The Rock exclusively, who also went to Syracuse. And Kurt couldn't have been nicer to me, and even tried to get me a job as a TNA creative team member. I had a brief conversation with Jeff Jarrett at the time. Didn't work out. Kurt was actually the one who told me about Chris Benoit, and that horrible tragedy. We were actually really close. He was talking to me about when the IFL came to him and tried to get him to sign there, The Ultimate Fighter. There was a period where we were very close. Over time, we sort of drifted apart, but Kurt was very kind to me early on. And when I started my career as a journalist and I launched jerrypark.com, October of 2007, my very first interview was with Kurt Angle, October of 2007. Dave Meltzer wrote about it, gave me like an hour and a half. He had just gotten in a bit of hot water and spoke about that, and was always just, salt of the earth kind of guy, and always very kind to me. And it was nice to catch up with him all these years later. It was nice to reunite, and I appreciate our friend Michael Wansover for hooking me up with this in honor of Colby Covington doing his thing. Did you see the heat that Colby Covington got on Saturday walking into the Honda Center? Incredible. And it sounds like he's going to keep that theme music as I drop my Kurt Angle toy right over here. I'm going to put it like this. So that was fun. Thanks to WWE for hooking us up with Kurt Angle and get his thoughts on a few things. Before we get to our next guest, let me tell you about my good friends over at Lightstream. Credit card bills, you know them, you hate them. Every month, you get them with multiple payments and multiple due dates. Wouldn't it be easier as you look at the King of the Ring bracket? Wow, well done, Corporate Jake. Look at you. You got it all. Wouldn't it be easier to have just one payment at a lower rate? Maybe we get Rosenberg on here to break it down. How about that? That jabron. No, I love Rosenberg. He's reading his Torah reading on the show these days. See that, Troy? Gave you a little cheap heat plug. Gratis. Free of charge. Anyway, back to Lightstream. You can with credit card consolidation loan from my good friends over at Lightstream. Get a rate as low as 5.95% APR with autopay, lower than the average credit card interest rate of over 19% APR. How about that? You can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000 with no fees. And you can even get your money as soon as the day you apply. The online application is so easy, and you can apply right now from your phone. That little device that we all stare at every day. Just for my listeners, apply now to get a special interest rate discount. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/Ariel. That's it. lightstream.com/Ariel. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes a 0.50% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Again, visit lightstream.com/Ariel for more information. Support them because they support us. Let me look at this bracket here. My pick, certainly not that jabron Kevin Owens. My pick is going to be Ricochet. That's my pick. Ricochet versus... Oh, Shelton Benjamin. He's still around? Dang. Okay. Maybe Ricochet. Ricochet or Samoa Joe. That's my pick. All right? All right. Okay. Now let's move along to our next guest. Some big news, perhaps unexpected news. Last week, Stefan Struve is back. And you'll recall back in February, he took his gloves off, put them in the middle of the cage, never actually said the R word, but it sounded like maybe he was leaning towards retirement. In the end, he has not retired. He's back December 7th against Ben Rothwell in Washington. Let's talk to him about that right now, right here on the program. There he is, Stefan Struve. Stefan, how are you?
What's up, Ariel? I'm really good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for doing this, and apologies for changing the time on you so many times. I appreciate you being so flexible. Thank you very much.
All good, man. I really just got back from training, so it all works out.
Okay, great. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Why did you decide to do this and not officially retire?
As I said, when I made that announcement, I wasn't 100% sure yet. Looking back, I got a lot of time to think about things because I didn't really have a lot to do. Really took some time off to think about everything, to rest my body and my mind. And I was burned out. I think back in February, I went through a difficult hard stretch of fights with 3 losses, and then the fight in February didn't start out very well either. Luckily, I was able to change that around, but so I had 3 losses in a row. Really had to um, push through a hurdle mentally in February, and then there were a lot of injuries too. I had 2 hand surgeries, shoulder surgery. I fought with broken ribs. I blew out my back for one fight during fight week. It just wasn't a lot of fun to me anymore, and I put so much work and time in my career because pretty much moved to Florida to really make the most of my career. And the first couple of years it was awesome, and then when you put so much work in and you don't get the results back, it's really depressing. It doesn't give you what you wanted out of it. So I was happy with that win. I just really needed some time off and to think about everything. But the time off did me in very well, and I feel refreshed now. My mind's clear and I'm ready to go again.
How close were you to going the opposite direction and just saying, I'm done?
I was done with it in February.
Okay.
Like for a while, I really thought I was done. People would ask me, "Are you going to fight again?" And at that point, it was no. I really didn't feel like fighting at that point. I really just needed some time off and to really, understand how much I like doing this too, and how passionate I am about, doing this. And there really isn't another thing right now that I would rather do and that I'm as passionate about. So I still really enjoy doing this, getting ready for the fights, fighting. Getting my hand raised in the octagon really is one of the biggest honors there is for me, and it really is the ultimate thrill to win a fight and to do all this. So I'm still very young, and I felt like if I would walk away, I would regret it, and that's something I really don't want to do. So I feel good, and really enjoying training again. I'm very fit already, and I'm looking forward to December. So.
When did you start to turn the corner? And did something help you turn the corner? Like, did you have an epiphany? Did you talk to someone or watch something that made you think, I can't be done now?
I just needed time off, to overthink everything and then talk to everybody around me that's, important to me. And, they all said, we can say whatever we want. We know how good you are. We know, the skill set you have. We know that, the losses in your last couple fights, it could have gone the other way too. You're a really good fighter. And if you are mentally there, then you can, you're one of the best in this game. So it really is up to you if you want to do it. And what I said, I really needed some time off. I didn't do much. And then after a while, I really got annoyed with myself and annoyed with training without a goal. I really need that goal during my training sessions to really have fun with this. And just getting what I said, getting ready for the fights and doing all that and fighting my way up to the level where I'm at. And it's just too much fun for me to walk away from it right now. So.
And did you check out the heart? Everything okay there? Because I saw a lot of comments about that. People concerned. Everything okay?
Yeah, everything is good. All my checkups are good. It's been super stable ever since they found it back in 2013. It improved a lot at first, and then since then it's been very stable. I really know how to keep that keep that good to say. So what to do and what not to do. So and if there would be any concern from the doctors, I wouldn't be doing this. If I had any concern, that it would be it wouldn't be good doing this, then I wouldn't be doing it.
And to the best of my knowledge, your contract was up with that last fight, correct?
Yeah, so that really helped because I was really able to get away from everything. I had no contract. Nobody reached out for, hey, you want to get ready for a fight? Are you ready for a fight or whatever? I had nothing, so that was really really good to be away from everything for a little bit, and then after a while, I really got to drive back and really start to feel that I wanted to do it again. So.
Did you talk to any other organizations? Like, were you free to talk to anyone?
Yeah, I had no contract. So for the first couple months, UFC is exclusive, and we had some interest, but I just feel really good with the UFC. I've been with them for 10 years. They always treated me well. Yeah, they gave me a good new deal. Happy with that too. And I'm just excited to continue my career with the UFC.
And what about this matchup against Rothwell? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was pretty much the first guy they offered, and I slept the night on it, and I really like the matchup. I think it's a really good matchup. Um, it's gonna be fun, man. Really, I think it really is gonna come down to who wants it more that night. So
I know you've been asked about this before, but since it just happened again on Saturday, like when you see Stipe winning the belt, considering other than DC, you're the only guy to beat him, stop him in the
uh,
UFC. What is that like for you? What does that do for you inside?
it'll always be fun. To have a win over someone like that who is pretty much the best heavyweight in the history of the UFC right now. But on the other hand, I got one win. If I would be on a winning streak, it would be totally different because I really do believe that he wants that fight back too. But for now, it's so far away that it's only a fun fact. I'm only focused on fighting Ben in December, and nothing else should be important for me anyway until that point. So
And not trying to get ahead of ourselves here, but I do see us like I'm sure you've thought as well. All you have to do is win like 2, 3 in a row while he's champion, and that's a very easy fight to promote, right?
it's the storyline is perfect, right?
Yeah.
Especially after all I went through in my career and then come back and yeah, challenge him. That would be awesome. It'd be one hell of a matchup. But I believe he's gonna fight Francis Ngannou next. I think that's the most logical matchup right now. And Ngannou is a very very hard fight for anybody with with his physique. Guy's just a freak of nature in the best way of the word. So
How many times have you watched that fight, and when's the last time you watched it?
my fight with Stipe, you mean?
Yeah.
I see highlights coming by, especially when he fights, right? People
Yeah.
tag me and all that stuff, so I see it coming by. But I don't know, man. I haven't watched a fight for a while. I can remember honestly when I watched it. Probably my last camp. I try to watch my fights and you know pick out things that I should do and shouldn't do. So
Since you were considering retirement, you're only 31. Like,
yeah.
if you would have stopped, what do you think you would have done?
That's another hard one, right? Because there's nothing right now that really I'm as passionate about as MMA. That really I wake up at night already right now, and I'm thinking about the matchup, what I need to do, and how I'm gonna get ready, and what we need to improve on in training, and do we have to call this trainer, that trainer? Who are we gonna involve in the training camp? If you have that when you wake up at night, um, even before getting this fight and getting the contract, I was training and I get the feeling I would wake up at night and I'd have questions like that, and in my opinion, if you have that, if you have that kind of passion to walk away from something at that point, then I don't think that's the time. So
Hmm. And for like, I see the comments, especially in the fight game. Someone retires or thinks about retiring, comes back. I'm starting to sense it now with Gustafson as well, especially when you're young. When you're like on the other side of 35, not towards 40, but towards 30. Everyone expects, oh, of course you're going to come back. Why? Now that you've gone through that, why is it so hard for fighters to say goodbye?
you build something from the start.
Oh,
Do you still hear me?
now it's breaking up. Let's see now. Are you
Is it
still
better?
there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Let's. Did you hear that question?
Yeah, you start something, and especially me and Gus, we start so young, and you build yourself up to a point where you are, doing very well in the sport. He's been in the top of his division for a very. Sometimes you hate this, you have a training week or training day, and things are not going well. You're not hitting the things you want to hit. But sometimes you have a day where everything works out, and you go home, and that's when you know how much you love this. the feeling of fight week and the feeling of walking to the octagon. Sometimes you hate yourself putting yourself there, but it's also, for us, it's the ultimate thrill. And then getting your hand raised, it's everything together. It's just, yeah, there's very few things in this world that make me feel scared, and I hate feeling scared, but I also love it. So it's just very hard to step away from something like that. And for me, some guys wait for a couple of years, but in my opinion, waiting a couple of years wouldn't do me any favors. Taking more time off, I got that feeling that what I just explained, that I still got this. I can still do this, and that's why I made that decision. And I think I don't know what everybody's different, right?
Right.
So I just hope for a guy like Gustafsson that he really finds something that he's as passionate about as this, or that he refines his passion, because he's an amazing fighter.
Well, welcome back, Stefan. Congrats on the new deal. Good to have you back. Looking forward to your return December 7th in Washington against Ben Rothwell. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate it, Ariel.
All right, there he is, the skyscraper, the tallest fighter in UFC history, 6'11 and a half, returns to action after flirting with retirement. Great photo of him putting down his gloves after his win back in February, but he has decided against it and has gotten a new contract as well. Didn't really test the waters, as he said, and now he's back. And you know who else is back? Nate Diaz. He's back. What a return on Saturday. Some thoughts on Nate Diaz. That was just unbelievable. I mean, for a guy to come back after a 3-year layoff and to seem as popular, like the fans did not forget, and I didn't think they were going to forget, but he was the star of the week. I mean, I don't know if you were watching ESPN on Saturday, but the bottom line where they feature a fight, it was Diaz Pettis. That had become the main event as far as the public was concerned. All the numbers, everything was trending in their direction. And, even not showing up to media day, that becomes a story. Showing up with the joint, that becomes a story. Everything that this man does, and you sit back and you're like, at first, like, oh, he's not educated, he's not smart. No, he's actually one of, if not the smartest. And he says things like, look, you hear him talk about why he's calling out Masvidal, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. I get it. I understand what he's talking about. Wants to fight him for the baddest MFer title out there. I mean, only Nate and Nick can get away with this sort of thing. And, we've talked about how 2019, maybe there haven't been the deepest cards, and the UFC is always searching for a superstar. To have him come back after that layoff and have him fight in a fight against someone not named Conor McGregor, and to come across the way in which he did, to have the gate break the California MMA record, which is just absolutely absurd, considering all the great events that have happened in that state over the years, over the past 20 or so years, is a testament to everything that he's done, everything he has stood for, everything he has said was going to come to fruition, even when people were laughing at him when he was calling himself the best. To see him show up like that, because I was worried. I thought maybe the leg kicks, I thought, all right, are we going to see the RDA Nate Diaz, or are we going to see, the Michael Johnson Nate Diaz? We saw the Michael Johnson Nate Diaz, and maybe even better than that Nate Diaz. I thought he won 3 rounds to none. I thought he looked phenomenal. And I told you in my column on ESPN.com, and I also told you on this show in Ariel and the Bad Guy, he's looking at Masvidal. And what's the first thing that comes out of his mouth, or the second? Masvidal. He respects Masvidal. He knows Masvidal is hot. He knows that's a fight that the people will want. He knows that's a fight that gets him paid. And he made his message very clear. He said it. Jorge Masvidal. That's who I want. And you could see the look on Masvidal's face. That's who he wants as well. Look at that smile. He was thrilled. He said, yes, I'm in. We'll worry about the title shot later. We'll worry about Leon Edwards. No, I'm in on this one. And this is a much needed jolt for the UFC to have him back. I mean, this is a gigantic fight. I was on the Dan Le Batard show earlier today. They didn't ask me a single question about Cormier Miocic. Not a single question about John Jones or anything like that. All the questions were about Nate Diaz. Were about Jorge Masvidal. I know they're a Florida-based, Miami-based show, and Masvidal is big there these days, but that just speaks to how big of a deal Nate Diaz is. Celebrities love him, fans love him, fighters love him, and it was just great. He has that superstar aura to him now. He really does. And there had been some rumblings that Nick, his brother Nick, the great Nick Diaz, and Nate weren't on the best of terms these days. Weren't as close these days. I love the fact that in almost every interview, every soundbite, Nate Diaz had last week, he was always shouting out the Nick Diaz army. Even in the cage, he mentioned his brother. I thought that was beautiful. And that photo that emerged, I mean, when's the last time you saw them together in a photo? There was a photo posted right before he went to the arena with Crone Gracie and the rest of the team. There's Nick, there's Nate. And I posted this on Saturday, that excerpt from when I spoke to Nick almost 5 years ago when he got suspended by Nevada for marijuana, saying that, he has to figure out a way to save his brother. He got him in this mess, and now I have to figure out a way to get him out of it. And I hope, once again, that Nick is proud of his brother, because I always know that he had felt weird about getting his brother in the fight game and somewhat guilty for that. And now look at what he's become. He's become a $1 million plus fighter. He has become a true prize fighter above belts. I mean, a real draw in his own right. And the truth is, amazingly, he has surpassed his brother in terms of stardom. Like, at his peak, Nick was never this popular. And that's no knock on Nick. Unfortunately, he was fighting in smaller organizations. He didn't have the attention in Strikeforce, left the UFC, all that and more. To the hardcores, absolute legend. There will never be another. But in terms of mainstream popularity, Nate has surpassed him. And that's thanks in large part to the Conor fights. But now he doesn't want Conor. He has found someone else. And how about Nate and Masvidal kind of boxing out Conor? I think that is an interesting development. Conor did not have a good week last week. Clearly, you saw the video, allegedly punching an older man in a bar. We heard about the story back in April. Now we saw the footage. And it's hard to stomach that footage. And it's hard to defend that footage. And now you're starting to see fighters who we thought were tied to him, thought were tied to his, his presence and his success, now just kind of coming out and being content with moving on. And you're starting to feel like every time, like I see it, like when we ask about him and you have to acknowledge him, the fans are kind of rolling their eyes. And I know that's kind of the way it is on the internet. I know that's the way the fans can be. But you're starting to see fans kind of come to terms with the fact that maybe he's not coming back. I think he is. I think he will fight. I think by this time next year, he will have fought at least once. I think he recognizes that for his brand and for his popularity and for everything else that he's trying to accomplish outside of the cage, he does have to right the ship. He does have to come back. He has to get back in the good graces of the people. Like, I don't think he's sitting back and saying, like, how do people like me? How do I get them to like me again? But I think he needs to start feeling some success, enjoying some success. He has not won a fight since August 20th, almost exactly. No, excuse me, since November of 2016. So in November of this year, it will be 3 years. Tomorrow's the anniversary of his win over Nate Diaz in what was one of the craziest 5.5 months in UFC history, in my opinion, the craziest. And we did a little fun thing about that on the TV show that airs tomorrow on either ESPN2 or ESPN News. I'm not sure which one. But now you're starting to see guys just kind of make their own quote-unquote money fights without him and move on without him. And Nate, at this point, I thought needed him. I don't know if he necessarily needs him right now. I still think Nate versus Conor is probably the biggest fight the UFC could put on. I think DC Jones 3 is maybe number 2. But like Nate versus Masvidal is going to do very well. Now, will they figure it out? Will they pay them what they want? You heard what Nate said. Like, I'll come back soon. I'm ready to go. Masvidal keeps talking about payment. Will they figure this out? Will they get those guys what they want? That's going to be the big question. Like, we already know. Like, look how easy this is. When's the last time a Nate Diaz fight was this easy to make? We already know. We know who he wants. Like, he could not have been more clear. In fact, I was a little surprised that he was that clear about what he wanted next. He wants Jorge Masvidal. That's the only guy he talked about. I don't even think he entertained Conor questions on Saturday. I don't even know if he said Conor's name on Saturday. Certainly didn't say Colby Covington's name. That's a pretty funny clip that's been passed around. But we know what he wants. And we clearly know that Masvidal wants that. Unfortunately, I'm being told that Masvidal is feeling under the weather. We're still trying to get him, but right now we don't have him just yet. Unfortunately, we may have to not talk to him today, but his manager is trying, and I appreciate him trying, but it sounds like he's very sick and in bed, and obviously don't want to bother him. I spoke to him briefly yesterday. He wants that fight. Trust me on this. He wants that fight. And so we'll see what happens if they're able to figure it out. Corporate Jake is telling me that DC has posted a statement. Is that accurate? I've not seen this. I'm not exactly perusing the internet right now. Can I see the statement? I'll read it for the first time. Oh my, I don't have my glasses on. Let me see if I can pull this up. Keep it up there and I'll see. I'm going to read it. It's a statement from Daniel Cormier that was apparently posted moments ago. It's been a couple of days and I can't stress the disappointment. I'm so sorry to all I have let down. To my wife and kids, I'm so sorry you guys had to experience that. I never wanted y'all to see that, and the hurt you guys showed breaks my heart every time I think about it. My coaches, I am sorry. I appreciate the work and time you've spent with me. My fans, thank you guys for the love and support you have guided me to all these amazing accomplishments. Stipe Miocic and his team, congratulations on a tremendous victory. You showed so much heart and grit. You are the definition of Cleveland tough. Dana White and all at the UFC, thank you for everything you have done for me and my family. This has been the most amazing journey. I will decide what I'm going to do now, and as soon as I decide, you will all know right away. I love you all. And there you have it from Daniel Cormier, and that was posted 23 minutes ago. And so as you see there, as I said at the top, this is a man who doesn't take defeat well. And I don't mean that like to say he's a sore loser. Clearly a very gracious loser and a pro, giving props to Stipe. But he will take some time, and I'm happy he's taking time, and he's not doing this emotionally. I'm happy he's taking time to sit back. He doesn't have to rush, and we'll see what happens as far as Daniel Cormier's future is concerned. For now, though, let's move along to our next guest. Say hello to a man who had a massive win on Saturday against Yoel Romero. Kind enough to join us is Borrachinha, Paulo Costa, via the Skype machine. Paulo, my friend, parabéns. How are you?
Hello, Ariel Helwani. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure here with you, be here with you and your fans and all your watchers. With Captain Eric Alvarez with me here on my room.
Yes. And thank you to Captain Eric, who I think sprinted over there to perhaps wake you up and do this. So I appreciate both of you very much on this Monday. Congratulations on the win, Paulo. I know it was a very brutal fight. How are you feeling a couple days later?
Yes, man. Wild fight, very brutal. I feel happy because I I did my goal. I beat that beast. Jorge is a real beast. Maybe the most powerful middleweight of the world, the most dangerous middleweight of the world. For a lot of people, he beat Whitaker. And last Saturday, I showed it to everybody around the world that I can be the champion. I beat a real beast, and I am more dangerous, more tough fighter than him. But I have some injuries in my body. I feel a lot pain on my ankle. I'm I did very very hard kicks on his body and his head, and uh, I remember Lucas Holt say one time when he fought against Romero, that Romero is look like Iron Man, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel that I kick his ribs with my shin with all my powerful, and my ankle is almost broken. I don't know yet. I need to make a exam to see.
Is that the hardest that you've ever been? What happened?
No, this is Eric asking about my ear, but it is not for on the fight. Before the fight, I broke my ear,
Oh.
and on the fight when I received some punches, is inflate, with blood and
Oh my.
like inflammation, and I drained this last night.
Wow. How's it feeling? Does it hurt?
Yeah, it's hurt. Look, the medical.
Oh wow.
He stitched it. He stitched it, but we'll be fine.
Okay. Have you ever been hit that hard before in your career, in your life?
Man, no, never. He hit very hard. Hit very hard. He have very a lot strange on his punches, and he's a different guy for sure.
I also believe that was the first time that you went the distance, right? The full 15 minutes. What was that like for you? How did you feel afterwards? Did you feel very tired?
No. I don't feel very tired. I control my gas. I control my stamina to not put all energy on the first round or second round. But when I feel he more tired, I feel more comfortable to use more energy. I try make the balance with my energy and his energy. But I don't feel very tired.
And so I know there was some bad feelings towards, Romero between both of you. Now, do you feel like it's over between you two? Like, are you okay now? No hard feelings anymore?
Nice question. I, I think he's a nice guy, but he kind of fight, his style of fight is a dirt. He's a dirt.
Really?
Dirty.
Dirty?
Yeah, he's dirty.
How so?
I don't have trouble about that. Because look, Ariel.
Okay.
In the first round, when I make a hook on his chin, and he's down, and he down, and he up very quickly. And I say, man, I will knock him out in the first round because he feel my punch, my first punch. And I started hunting him on the octagonal. And when I close to knock him out, he point something on the anywhere. I don't know. In somewhere. He point like, look that, Paulo. And I lose my concentration because he points something. Maybe he mouth, fall. And I'm not a that guy. I'm trying fight clean. And when he points something, like a mouthpiece, maybe down, I think, man, something happened. Something happened. So I lose my concentration, and he punched my face, and but he missed my face, and he hit my neck, and I lose my balance and I fall. So this is one thing. The second thing, my knee, not hit his balls. My knee hit his stomach, and he said, "Oh, you hit my balls," and jump to back, and the referee stop. So maybe I don't know him deep, but maybe he's a nice guy. He looks a nice guy, but his kind of fight is not clean.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And he has been accused of that in the past, so it's interesting to hear you talk about this. Now, I saw a video from your coach, Captain Eric, that the great Arnold Schwarzenegger was sitting cage side, and you have this amazing moment where he's sitting there, and Eric, I think we actually have the video right over here. Do we have this, Corporate Jake? Look at this video in case you missed it.
Yo, DC and the rest of the UFC crew and UFC fans that have problems pronunciating and translating Paulo Enrique Costa's nickname. Yes, from now on, call me the Eraser. John Hendricks, I will erase you.
He named himself after the Eraser. Let's go.
Amazing.
The eraser and the eraser.
So there's Arnold Schwarzenegger with you. Incredible moment. What did you say to Arnold when you were leaning over the fence?
Man, this is very, very cool, very cool. I'm a real fan, big fan of Arnold. And this guy, Captain, one day on his house, 2 days or one day before that video that you showed, he gave me a homework, homework to improve my English, watch the English movies without the subscribe, and he say, "Hey Paulo, you need to watch this movie, The Eraser." Uh, and I watched with him. I loved it. That movie is an old movie, but very good with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And because my name mean eraser or rubber is the same. Borrachinha is a little rubber or little eraser. So we say now unique name on English will be eraser because the rubber is not very good, right?
Little rubber. You don't want to be
Yes.
known for using a little rubber.
Oh,
Yeah. and after the fight, Eric showed me, look there, look who is here. Arnold, the razor. And I say, Arnold, I am a big fan. I'm you big fan, and my nickname come from you. So thank you for be here. And he very gentleman. He stand up and walk for to octagon and shake my hands. He's a very very nice guy.
incredible. And so he was cage
And
side
he's
for
in his next movie. He's in his next movie. He said he's signing him up.
really?
He's gonna be the main enemy, the main villain.
You look like you should be in movies. I mean, look at your face. Such a beautiful face. Why would you want to get it beaten up like that? I mean, look at that. Oh my.
Yeah.
How?
My eyes is head.
Yeah. Why would
It's
you do
okay.
this? Go be a model or something.
Huh?
You should be a model, not a fighter.
Man, if I receive a good contract like a look like hold, I can think about that.
Yes. I think it's coming. I think it's coming. But next for you, you're going to Australia. You're going to be there front row to watch Whitaker Adesanya. That's what you want?
Yeah, I want to be there to watch on live my next opponent on the first line. I want to be there to pressure him. I don't know who will win. I think in the first row.
Yeah.
To watch that fight. I think Whitaker. You don't ask me, but I will answer. I think Whitaker will beat Adesanya, but I will be there. I will be there to watch and to say I'm here. You need to figure it out because I'm coming.
Are you hoping Adesanya wins because he has said a lot of things about you? Even after your fight, he tweeted a picture of a Gaz and a dinosaur. I don't know if you saw that. I think maybe taking a shot at your reach or something. Like, are you hoping he wins so that you can fight this guy because there's an issue there between you and him?
Yeah. You believe it or not, I'm rooting. Rooting?
I'm rooting.
I'm rooting. Yeah. So Adesanya win this fight because man, I will kill him. I definitely will erase him. He not have a chance. He very skinny. He just a tall, but he not have a chin. He not have a confidence. I remember I saw against Anderson Silva, and Anderson Silva put his back in the cage. Anderson put his back in the cage and say, "Come on, come on, Israel." And Israel, oh no, no. Israel is afraid. Israel is a fake champion. He's a fake champion. I not believe that. I not believe that. I not believe that he is a true champion. You know. So he not have a jiu-jitsu. He not have a wrestling. I proved that I can defend the high level of wrestling, takedowns. Romero tried put me down in the first time he tried. I scramble him and he led and he say, "Oh my God, I can put this guy down easy." Eric make a very good work with me on my gym on his gym on Phoenix, and I can fight on todas as áreas in all areas of the fight. I can fight on the cage, the clinch, defense takedowns, put down. I don't need put somebody down yet, but I can do this. I'm a black belt. I'm a very good black belt, very sharp. My jiu-jitsu is very sharp, and I decided not to have a chance against me. I hope he won, but if you Whittaker won, I can uh, fight against him and one Whittaker too. Also,
Why do you think he's afraid? You said you feel like he's afraid. Why do you feel that way?
because uh, he showed a fake confidence.
Hmm.
When you talk a lot shit, when you avoid some things, is because you not feel real confidence in yourself. Pessoalmente, no fundo, ele não sente muita confiança. Deep down. Deep down, he don't show the true confidence like McGregor, for example. McGregor is a very confident guy, and everybody feel that. But Nate Diaz also. But Adesanya is a fake confidence. He try appearance something that he's not.
Okay. Wow. I want to see that fight very much. I want to see you versus Adesanya. Not disrespecting Whitaker, even if it's not for the belt. I feel like we need to see this fight, you versus Israel.
Yeah, I too. I'm too. I try to make this fight. I always slap his face, kick his ass. I will eu vou esmoralizar ele, envergonhar ele. I will embarrass him on the cage.
Okay. Strong words. And how about Captain Eric? Is he the coach of the year or what? Has he finally proved his point? Is he the man?
Hey, I'm waiting for you to show the trophy right now. Why wait till December?
Well, let's. How about this? Let's go back to January. This is what you said in January of this past year. Roll the tape.
2019, we're gonna break the mold. We're coming from it all. Henry's about to beat TJ on January 19th. He's about to skin the snake. We got Patricio's gonna continue his featherweight reign. Patricio Pitbull's gonna be the flyweight king. Lightweight king. And Bohashina, 2019 could be another breakout year for him. Maybe he gets that title.
Okay.
So that we could have four titles across the board. So that's my plan. Really not. I just give the credit to the fighters. I just want the team of the year. As long as they're producing, then that's what I'm about. Then I'm having fun.
Listen, you do all that. 2019 is in the bag for you, man. I mean, I might as well just put. I have the trophy right over here. I'll just put your name right on the bad boy. If you do all that, you have my word. You win it.
You better.
The man. I mean, he's killing it, right? The guy is killing it. He's killing it. Well done, Captain Eric. You have a great coach there, and you guys are doing very well. And Paulo, I know you've come. My friend from MMAfighting.com, Guilherme Cruz, wrote a great feature on you. I know you've come from very little, and you were shy, and you just had to overcome a lot. To see you now undefeated on the cusp, right about to fight for a title, this must be unbelievable for you and your family, right? From a small town in Brazil, undefeated. It's incredible, right?
Yeah. Man, this guy is a different coach. He can't pass for us fighters a lot of confidence in a short time. You don't need kill yourself training a lot. Train. No. He trained very smart. He knows how to train us very smart and very focused and one goal. Like the last fight with focus and defense his takedowns and keep this fight on stand up to knock him out. And I almost I almost did that. But I think this is the most difference that Captain Eric Alvarez have is he's he training very smart, and he have a lot knowledge about all areas of the MMA. He very interested in know about more about boxing, jiu-jitsu to mix the techniques of jiu-jitsu with wrestling and to appreciate the uh, the best things on each fighter. He looked to me and he looked for appreciate my positive point and not my negative point. So this is the difference that I see on Captain. For me, he's the best coach of the year for sure.
Well, congratulations to you both. What a great night for you. What a great year for you, Captain Eric. You continue to enjoy a lot of success. And Saturday night was no different. Huge win for Paulo Costa. We'll see you out there in Australia. Thank you for doing this, Paulo. I appreciate it very much. And parabéns. Enjoy the victory.
Obrigado. Thank you, Ariel Helwani. Thank you. I will be down on Melbourne. And I come to the title, baby. I come.
All right. We'll see you there. The Eraser, Borrachinha. Great victory for him. And a couple things of note. Look at the English. Remember when we first had him on the show? Couldn't speak English. Now look at the English. Doing a whole interview, essentially, in English. Captain Eric helped him a couple times, but that's very notable. That goes a very long way. If you're able to speak English, that's just the facts. It's not a bias towards English speaking, but you're able to connect with the audience. You're able to talk to the media. The most amount of media is here in North America. And now you're able to get your story out there. You're able to get your personality over. You're able to get your fan base behind you and the fans in general behind you. Look at the way he's talking about Israel Adesanya. That's huge. It's a lot more effective when it's coming out of his mouth, even if it's in broken English, than if it's coming through a translator. So that is massive. So whoever is helping him learn how to speak English, you are a very important part of this story. Make no mistake about it. Of course, he has to go out there and win the fights. But if you're able to speak English and get your message across to the fans, that's a massive part of the fight game. If you're just a basketball player or baseball player, not as important. Fighter, extremely important. This is prize fighting. You want people to pay to watch you fight. You want people to get emotionally invested in your journey. He's doing a phenomenal job. So credit to him there. And how about Dana White, who typically doesn't commit to the next fight on Saturday, right? He typically doesn't do that. But on Saturday, he said that he will pay for Paulo Costa to be in Australia. Like, there's nothing else to really say at this point as far as the middleweight division is concerned. He's the next guy. He has to be the next guy. Banged up. He'll be there on October 5th, Marvel Stadium. And it's always great when the division works out like that. There is no one else. Even if Whitaker loses at this point, unless it's like an all-time robbery or something like that, I don't see any scenario where they'll run that one back instead of going with Costa. Costa's very marketable. He's very popular in Brazil, and now he's starting to get over in America as well. It's good when you do it, when they position him on a card like that. Very good. A couple of stats from that fight, which was just absolutely incredible. So he's now 13-0, 5-fight UFC win streak. It's the third longest active streak at middleweight behind champions Robert Whitaker and Israel Adesanya. So there you go. It's perfect. Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero combined for 243 significant strikes landed, the third largest combined tally in UFC middleweight history, according to UFC stats. 8.4 significant strikes landed per minute are the second most in UFC history. Justin Gaethje, 8.5. Tied for the third most MMA wins without a loss among active UFC fighters, Khabib 27, Adesanya 17. And he is one of 12 Brazilian fighters to start their UFC career 5-0 or better. 6 of them were UFC champions. So pretty good company for Paulo Costa coming off that big win over Yo Romero. Corporate Jake getting all antsy, telling me to rap. Ooh, why you so antsy, Corporate Jake? I was trying to stretch some time, hoping that Masvidal would wake up. But, wait. He just wrote to me. Abe just wrote me. One question. Ask him, get him on for one question, please. I'm begging you. He said, call him. Right now, he just said. Corporate Jake was rapping me. Come on. So Masvidal's feeling sick. Corporate Jake's telling me to rap. I'm sweating. I'm speaking slowly. And he just wrote, I don't know. He wrote, I'm ready. I don't know what that means. It might just be his manager, Abe Kawa, but we'll get some kind of comment on the Nate Diaz call out. I want to deliver. I'll be stressing about this all week till next week that, we promoted someone who didn't show up. Understand when you get sick, these things happen in MMA. Come on. Don't let me down. This is big. This is live. This is how you do it. I've sent him maybe 45 text messages in the last 30 minutes while doing a live interview. We're going to get an answer. Nate Diaz called him out. He was there. It was his birthday yesterday. Not Jorge, Abe. He was there. Front row. Right next to Colby Covington. Right next to Max Holloway. Nate Diaz said he's a gangster, but he's no West Coast gangster. And he wants to fight him for the baddest MFer title out there. The challenge has been thrown out. Will it be accepted? He's saying no one is calling him. He doesn't have to be Skype. You just do phone. Just do quick. I don't want you getting all stressed out. I don't want you getting a heart attack over there, Corporate Jake. All stress, telling me to rap, all caps. Will the challenge be accepted? Will the phone call be answered? Let's get an answer. Is this fight going to happen? The 209 versus the 305. Stockton versus Miami. Gamebred versus Nathan. Nathan Diaz doesn't have a nickname. 209 versus 305. Those are like two of the more... Okay. Corporate Jake is telling me to talk. Abe, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, we got you. Hey, listen, they were trying to tell me to rap. They were telling me to close the show. And how many texts did I send you in the last hour or so? What's going on with Jorge?
A few. He's just a little bit we had a red eye last night, and right before we got on the flight, he already started feeling a little under the weather. And I just think the flight and the lack of sleep sort of amplified everything. So he right now is just not feeling well. So he was just like, dude, I'm going to go to sleep, and if I feel better, I'll let you know. And he hasn't woken up yet. So he's not feeling well right now.
Okay, no hard feelings, but I have to ask, you were standing there, cage side. Nate Diaz called out Jorge Masvidal. We have not heard from Jorge since. Does he want this fight?
I believe so. I believe it's a good fight. I think both these guys will go on, put on a show for everybody, and I think that's what we all want. I mean, I don't know if you're a fight. I'm a fight fan at heart before I am anything else. And if you're a fight fan, this is like Christmas for everybody.
Okay, and Jorge has talked about wanting to get paid. He has to get paid, right?
I think that's inevitable. The guy's put 16 years into the game. He's never been a problem for anybody, whether it comes to USADA, comes to making weight, comes to showing up, being on time, putting on shows. He's always done it. So I think he's put in his time, and I think the UFC understands that. I think the fans understand that. I think Nate understands that. So I just wants to get a payday.
Have there been any talks after the call? I mean, Nate was very forward with his requests. Like, he usually sometimes beats around the bush. He was very clear with what he wanted after the fight. And since then, any talks from the UFC? Are they interested?
Right after the fight, I had a brief conversation with the higher ups, and it looks like they like the fight. So that being said, we should be getting together sometime this week to see how that goes.
Okay. And is there a chance it happens in 2019? Maybe December 14th, Las Vegas, MSG? What are you thinking?
I think that would be fantastic. I don't personally MSG, not because of any other reason, just talking to Jorge, briefly and whatnot. I think December in Vegas is probably where he would prefer it. Actually, he wants to go to Cali, where Nate's from. I don't want to give too much. I'd rather it come from Jorge than me. So I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. But, he looks at this fight more like, the till. He's going to go into someone else's backyard, and he prefers that over anything else. So if Vegas is the closest he could get to Cali, then, Vegas.
Did he feel offended with Nate saying, like, he's a gangster, but he's no West Coast gangster? Like, is this personal between them?
Oh, man. That one thing that Jorge's great at doing is taking what other people say and kind of like, giving it back to them. So I'll wait until he does that. I know you want more out of me, Ariel, and I apologize for this, but I don't want to steal his time. It can't come from me, but he will be responding to that as well. And I think, the fans will appreciate his response.
Okay, and let me ask you, just to be clear, you said title shot or bust, right? That's what you guys were saying after the win over Askren. Is this the one exception?
I believe so. I believe, everybody has to look at it from a financial standpoint for these guys. They are prize fighters. They're not fighting just to say, hey, I'm a UFC fighter. They're fighting for a paycheck. And if the biggest paycheck at the time comes with the title, then why would he take a fight outside of that? Now, if a bigger paycheck presents itself, then I think the title becomes mute. I don't think the title then at that point is the biggest fight. So, I think that's absolutely the exception.
Baddest MF on the planet title is also worthy as well.
Dude, I'm about to go out to the local store over here, and I'm about to design one of the baddest belts. And if I get Jorge's blessing, I'm gonna make sure he sports that everywhere, because as of right now, we can say what we want about Nate and Nick, and God bless them. They are two of the baddest dudes we know. But I mean, I'm telling you, here in the East Coast, 305 Miami, man, people don't survive here like that. It's a little different. Our swag, man, University of Miami, the Canes, it's just different. The East Coast swag is different than the West Coast swag. These guys, we had Biggie and Tupac. Well, now we got Nate and Jorge.
Oh, my
God. The way I see it.
Look at you selling the fight. Now I'm getting all tingly inside. Two last quick things. Can you throw out a number for us? What are we looking for? What are we asking for here?
No, I can't do that because I think that's not fair. I won't do that right now. I will say, it should just be fair. Really, more than anything, just be fair, and we'll be good.
Okay. You have a number, though.
I have a number in my head, yes.
Okay. And last but not least, what are the chances we see John Jones fight Stipe Miocic?
I leave that to John. John has said publicly in the past he's not looking to move up to heavyweight. That's his words, not mine.
Yep.
If he were to go to heavyweight, the number has to be right, because it's just two completely different scenarios for John. Light heavyweight is his home. When you're king of a castle, you tend to then go out there and go try to conquer other castles. And in John's case, he's more he will conquer every type of opponent there is out there for him at light heavyweight. He still feels that the division is growing. There's a lot of good young names out there that are still coming up, and he feels these are people that will eventually try to threaten his throne. And instead of going up to heavyweight and then losing sight of the young up and comers that are coming up for that to threaten him, he feels that he should be focusing on his division. Now, again, I believe if the number is right, everyone's got a price. Everyone has a price, and I believe if the number is right, then I think Stipe and John could happen. But those were his words. Those are words coming from John, not me. He said that publicly.
Yeah.
You want me to go up to heavyweight? I think you would have to do it. But he never once mentioned Stipe as an opponent like that. He tweeted out one time, me and you, Stipe, this and that. I don't know if he was just trying to, ruffle the feathers a little bit and get people talking. If he did do that like that, then, it's there. But anything is possible in this sport, and that's why we love it, right, Ariel?
Right. As the $1 Million Man once said, everyone has a price.
Oh, man, that's my guy, Ted DiBiase.
Yes. Abe, thank you for doing this. Tell Jorge, no hard feelings, even though he left me at the altar. I still love him.
He will make it up to you. No, he does. He will.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Abe.
No, thank you.
There he is, Abraham Kawa, one of the very best in the business. I apologize for the Masvidal situation, but you heard it from the horse's mouth. Not feeling well. These things happen sometime, but I'm glad that we got a bit of an update there. As you can hear, There is interest. There is interest. Corporate Jake, you can hit the music. Don't worry, buddy. Everything's going to be okay. You see me? Slowly but surely, I was reading that copy. I was like, what else can I read here to kill some time? And there we did it. Ow, I think I just like blew up my shoulder doing that. Oh, I think that's a sign. I need to go to bed. I've done too much. It's been a fun day. Also, I regret throwing those papers. Oh, no, I got it right here. Okay, fun day, my friends. UFC 241 in the books. Was that Daniel Cormier's last fight? Who will Stipe Miocic fight in his first title defense after, winning the belt again? Second title defense. You know what I'm talking about. Who's Paulo Costa going to fight for the belt? Israel Adesanya or Robert Whittaker? Will Nathan Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal happen? And if so, will it happen this year? What's up with Cory Sandhagen? Where does he fit? All those questions need to be answered, and that's why this game is so much fun when you exit an event with a lot of questions to answer. Cory Sandhagen, Stipe Miocic, Nick Newell, Eddie Alvarez, Francis Ngannou, Holm, Mike Perry, Kurt Angle, Stefan Struve, Paulo Costa, and Abraham Kawa. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks to all of you who have tuned in once again. If you missed anything, check it out. iTunes, Google, YouTube, Twitter, all those places and more. Back next week, same time and place. Until then, I say peace.